All right. Go.
Okay, I would like to welcome everyone to the Board of Equalization meeting on June 2nd, 2026. We're going to open this meeting at 3:56. It is running a little bit late because we had some technical difficulties. In attendance, we have Commissioner Trish Hadeen, Commissioner Jacques Hadler, Commissioner Brian Martinez, Commissioner Mary McGann, Commissioner Mike McCurdy, Commissioner Bill Winfield, and myself, Commissioner McCandless, with our County Attorney Stephen Stocks, County Administrator Mark Tyner, and our Clerk Auditor Dave Wojtek. I'm going to recuse myself from the vote on this meeting, so I'm going to turn it over to our Vice Chair, Bill Winfield.
All right, with that, I will look for a motion for approval of the minutes of the meeting of March 3rd, 2026.
So moved.
Motion, Commissioner Martinez, second, Commissioner Hadler. All in favor? Passes unanimously, and we will move on to the tax exemption request for the National Ability Center, and I believe we are going to hear from our county attorney on this.
And one thing that we wanted to note is if the applicant is present, they've submitted additional documents to them. We wanted to provide them with the opportunity to be heard if the vice chair would permit that to start.
Sure, and who is going to do that from the applicant?
I'm not sure who is going to speak on their behalf, but they were here last time and we just wanted to provide them the opportunity. If you are here from the National Ability Center, if you would unmute your microphone and let us know who you are. Otherwise, we would assume that you didn't want to speak further.
Great. Yeah, my name is Willie Ford. I'm CEO of the National Ability Center. Along with us is Michelle Blanc and Mike Schultz, who's our Chief Operating Officer. We've applied for the tax exemption in Moab. As all of you know, we're putting plans in place to build facilities and programming in Moab for the community and for others with disabilities. We believe that this qualifies appropriately for a tax exemption. And we've put the application in place to hopefully bring that forward so that we can move forward with our planning and project on our side. Mike Schultz, did I forget anything or do you want to add anything?
No, that's correct. It's a gift of the community per the statute, the state statute. But I would agree. I think we qualify for that. So.
Okay, if there's nothing further, then I'm going to turn it over to our county attorney.
So commissioners, before BOE members, historically, when we reviewed this application, the body requested additional information provided to you from the National Ability Center. They provided a memorandum supporting their position and requesting that the commission consider their property to be under the rules to allow its exemption. We've provided and forwarded to the board 3 different flavors of a motion language that's in your email. One has an approval, a partial approval, permitting one parcel number and the other not, a denial, and an approval. Additionally, for the board's consideration, we have also provided findings of fact. These findings make the statement, the draft version here makes a statement that there is sufficient information to believe that they fall within the charitable use exception, and they explain the basis for that. In the event that the board finds that this does not qualify, we will draft findings to indicate the same and a basis for the denial. So that's the background information. Historically, there were additional questions regarding to what extent the National Ability Center provided services that were considered charitable. They provided an email response and additional information, and I believe that's been circulated with the commissioners. So based on that information, we do believe that there is sufficient evidence to be able to support a finding. Their request is for a full finding, and it's our position that it should be separated, providing that benefit to one parcel, but not the other. However, there is sufficient basis to either deny or approve in full or in part, depending on the findings that the board would like to make.
Commissioner.
So right now, we're looking at what's currently being operated on, correct? Not what the future use is to be?
Correct.
And so, can I ask the applicants a question? Sure.
Yes.
What is the current use of the three properties? We have one that's listed as 48, one that's listed as 70, and one that's listed as 01.
I'll jump in on that if that's okay. Mike Schultz. No relation to the Speaker of the House, by the way. So, so of the three parcels, one is, I believe, the old Elks Club where we've demolished it. It's currently a vacant lot, and we're looking to at some point build a facility there. We also one of those properties is a house we use as a guide house, and the other is a garage where we use for the boat house for our rafting operation. And I'm not sure which number lines up with which one.
If the commission makes their intent clear, we can make sure the parcel number matches which building is connected.
Anyone else? Yep.
I have a question for Steve. So say we decided that the parcels that are in use get the tax exempt and the ones that are not being used, not after they succeed in creating their
Sure.
facilities, they can come back.
Yes. And there's a requirement that they provide an updated notice each year.
Yes, Commissioner Adler.
Thank you. Is it the opinion of the attorney that a use such as housing falls under, to me, like the garage is a bit of a no-brainer because they're using that for their active business.
The difficulty is under this statute, you have to make the statement that they're providing a charitable gift to the community that is an obligation normally. The burden is normally felt by the government, and by them providing that additional information or by providing that charitable gift, it alleviates the government from providing those services. And that's why we're reducing the amount of tax burden that they would have because they're off-putting some of the government obligations. Housing historically has not been an obligation of the government.
I got you.
There have been creative arguments about this in the past, but I don't think it's the strongest argument.
Thank you.
Yes, Commissioner Martinez.
Can I ask the applicant another question?
Please.
The housing, is that housing for full-time employees or does that also include the volunteers?
The housing is for our guides. They're usually seasonal staff who are trained according to being able to deliver programming for people with disabilities on the local rivers that we operate on.
Thank you.
We do not charge them for that. We offer the housing so that we can actually operate. Without being able to supply that housing, we believe that it would be hard to hire the staff needed to operate our rafting operation. And as everybody knows, we're a nonprofit and we subsidize a lot of the program costs, and we lose money through our Moab operation every year due to the cost associated to the programming that we deliver.
Thank you, sir. And then I've got a question for the county attorney. Is this housing similar to the housing that we allow to be tax exempt for the hospital?
The housing for the hospital, you have to refresh my.
Well, it's been years ago that we had a couple of houses come before us that were requested to be exempt for the hospital. They were out on Spanish Valley, one of them. I don't remember where the other one was.
My recollection is that our position has remained the same, that housing doesn't normally fall within the government obligation. But I can search and see if that was approved previously. Do you know was it from the Moab Regional Hospital or?
Moab Regional Hospital, yes. Yeah, there were two houses that they purchased and came before us asking for this exclusion on. It's been my first year in office would be my guess, so I
I
don't,
think I think I'm trying to, I can I can see
yeah.
remember.
I'll look up and see if I can find information. My gut says that it was denied, but I'm not, if you'll permit me a moment, I'll.
Sure. Yes, Commissioner McGann.
Of the people you serve, how many of them are Grand County residents?
I don't have the exact percentage off the top of my head. We can get back to you on that.
That's who we as a county would serve. If we had any obligation.
I do know that we have multiple individuals within the county. I know that Nancy Orr is one of them, Colin Fryer, that help with this organization. They're a big part of it.
Yeah, they are. Do a great job.
Yeah, we do serve a significant amount of participants out of Grant County. I just don't have that percentage off the top of my head and don't want to misspeak here, but we can report back to you on that. It's really important to us to serve local community, and that's something we take seriously. So it's a big part of what we do.
Yes, Commissioner McCurdy.
Question for Mr. Stocks. On a question of approval of entire request,
Yes.
would that yearly update also, if they build a new building, would that come at that time, not within a year scope?
They have an obligation to file with the assessor's office each year and ensure that they're in compliance and continuing to utilize the property for the charitable gift or the nonprofit basis for whatever they're utilizing. They have to confirm that each year.
And would that come up? Say they do it, they get approval, they did it in 3 months, would that come back up? Or they build the building in 3 months? Should it
It's on
come
an-
back up at that or the yearly?
It's on an annual basis when they do the assessments. And they have a certain time frame that they have to apply in. And the Board of Equalization had this issue in the past for a different parcel. The timing is in the spring, and then we have a certain period of time that we have to respond to it.
Okay.
Yes, Commissioner McGann.
So does it come up every year or does it only come up the years that are assessed?
So every year they're going to apply with the assessor, but it doesn't guarantee that it's going to come before the BOE unless there's a new request or an appeal.
Okay.
Yes, Commissioner Martinez.
I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion. Move to approve in part the property tax exemption submitted by the National Ability Center for parcels number boathouse, parcel number guidehouse, based on the findings of charitable use under the Utah Code 59-2-1101, and authorize the chair to sign the finding of fact, conclusion of law, and decision to be prepared and finalized by the Grand County Attorney's Office. Parcel number vacant, move is denied.
Yes,
Second
Commissioner. All right, motion by Commissioner Martinez, second by Commissioner Hadeen. Is there any further discussion?
Vice Chair, just following up the previous comment, the one that we can find that was previously before the commission regarding housing was through community rebuilds.
Right.
That was the only one that I can find.
Yes.
It was
That was my
denied.
memory.
And it was denied. And there is, not trying to confuse the issue, but there is a charitable purpose that is to find out that they talk about a nonprofit hospital or a nursing home as being something that would be permitted. But I can't see any hospital, if the body wanted to recess this for a moment, I could do a deeper dive, but that's initially what I found so far. I just don't want to leave that question unanswered.
That was my memory too. Not the denial, but that it was community rebuilt.
That would make it. That makes it awkward because then that, if we've denied one organization, charitable organization. And then turn around and give it to another, I would make a substitute motion that we offer the tax exempt for the storage of the garage. And deny the others according to, I don't have. Did you help me?
Yes, and let's go to our guests online. Mike, please.
And guidehouse is what I called them.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify in the memo that we sent, per the Utah Code 592-1101, the gift of the community, it was less about lessening of the government burden onto the subsection F2. It was the provision of a significant service to others with that immediate expectation of material reward. And we do operate at a loss, significant loss. And these are to offer people with disabilities to engage in the recreation activities in Grand County, specifically that most other outfitters don't provide because of the specialty training. And so I just would again reiterate our position is about the service to others without immediate expectations of material reward. And so
Yeah, thanks, Mike. I also, I guess that the housing one still causes me a little bit of question. Because isn't that what housing at Sea Haven does, or housing at a multitude of different nonprofits? I'm just wanting some clarity here, so I'm fine with Mary's substitute motion if we're gonna bring this back and make sure that we're treating everybody equally here.
Vice Chair, I don't know that the substitute motion got a second.
I did.
No,
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Commissioner McGann, second by Commissioner Adine. Yes, Mary.
I just want to say that when we did vote for the Moab Community Rebuild, I voted in favor. I just wanted the people to know that, I like the idea of helping them out, but I don't think we can treat one organization differently than we do the other.
It returned and we did, the body did approve it based on educational.
Yeah.
Portion of it as education. To answer Commissioner Winfield's question, the difference between Sea Haven, that's more temporary housing. That's different than long-term housing for guides. The other thing that when we look at this application, they do it at a reduced amount. And so that does kind of play into the consideration that it's not wholly philanthropical. Instead, it's there's a bit of analysis as well as they're charging some individuals for the services and not others. But like we said, I do think that there's sufficient basis that you could make a defensible finding on in a way that the body feels appropriate.
Yes, Commissioner Martinez.
yeah, I think that for this service to remain inside of our community, and I've sent folks over to the National Ability Center and SPORE previously, for decades, when I've gotten calls, for all types of different things. I think it's a great organization here. And I'm not basing my vote off of that, which is really where my heart is at. But the idea is that I don't see how that operation runs without that specialized training. Having known the guides that are there, I do think that it's a specialized type of training to be able to take these folks down the river. And for that, that's the reason that I really kind of wanted to stick to this idea that the housing is included in that. Now, the vacant lot, I mean, it's the same reason that we kind of pushed off the wabi sabi in the last meeting. I think that that does not qualify right now, but I do think that the housing is a little bit different, just based on the specialized training that's required to take these folks down the river. And I've been on the trips. I mean, it's a lot, I mean, it takes a lot, and it does take a lot of specialized training.
Sure. Yes, Commissioner McGann.
I suppose this is for the owners. Do you do any, is there any education provided at your housing? Because I know that's what we had to do with one community rebuild, so it's to change it from housing to education. If these guides are receiving special training, any of the training going on in the house.
Yes. In fact, we just got done about 3 weeks of it now in preparation of the season. So we have our lead guide who's really well known in this space, and the current house that we're referring to is also a place where we do a lot of the training, the conversations, the classroom discussions. That's not out in the field. So education is a big part of what we do. I would say that we train as much, if not more, than any other outfitter because of the really high risk situations that we're in. We're bringing nonverbal 84 different types of disability we served last year. We're taking them down the river, and it's really challenging stuff that we do. And the reason that we're a nonprofit is that we subsidize all the, a couple minutes ago, we were talking about the program revenue that's established by our operation in Moab, but we subsidize the majority of it. And if you aren't able to pay, we scholarship that. So as a whole, the National Ability Center last year, we scholarshiped almost $7 million worth of programming because people with disabilities, unfortunately, are usually in a place where they need greater financial assistance. So our whole objective here is to make sure people in Grand County and Utah and other places, if they want to visit the area, they have access to it. And our scholarship process is really, we don't ask any questions. If you express a need, we'll figure out a way to support you.
Thank you. Yes, Commissioner McGann.
I think everyone on the dais supports your organization. And I know myself, I would probably give you from my heart every exemption, but we have to move forward fairly with everyone. Stephen, if they added the educational part to the housing, would we have to have him come back, or could we amend it right here?
I think the commission has a sufficient basis to resolve it with the findings that we've drafted. I think adding the housing element again, I think it's nuanced. I would just keep it narrowed to the findings that we currently have. That would be my.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I don't know how to actually raise my hand on Zoom. So
No problem. I see you now. My apologies. I should have been watching.
No worries. It's my understanding that the current parcel that the house is on has been exempt from taxes in the past. So is this no longer going to be exempt moving forward, or I find myself?
We haven't got to the actual vote yet, sir,
Okay.
but I would like to weigh in here, and it's nothing against Mary's substitute motion. But I'm going to vote against the substitute because I would prefer to see it fail and that we allow this for the house. I know that there are multitudes of different ways that different nonprofits utilize our.
I think we lost you, or at least I did. Dana, can you hear us by chance?
I can totally hear you, and the chamber's camera just came back, so the audio went out with it. I don't think they ever left. Hang on, stand by.
I won't vote for my own vote.
Right. So, yeah, and it's nothing against your motion, Mary. I just feel that.
Hang on, I don't know that we have audio.
Can you hear us yet, folks?
You just came back. Yep.
Okay, thank you. And I was just stating the fact that I would prefer to see the substitute fail and that we would vote on the original, which would include the house. And that's just my personal feelings on it, of course, as an individual commissioner. So we haven't called for that vote yet. Yes, Commissioner Martinez.
Can I call for the vote on the substitute?
Sure. All right, with that, I'll call for a vote that Mary McGann made a substitute motion and Commissioner Hedin seconded for just the garage lot. All in favor of the substitute motion? All opposed? All right, that fails, and we will move back to the original motion. Correct me if I'm wrong, which was Commissioner Martinez and Commissioner Hadler as a second. Commissioner Hedin, my apologies.
And Vice Chair, what was the vote on that?
That vote failed 7, let's see, 0 in favor, 6 against because McCandless recused herself. Thank you, sorry. All right, so then I will call for a vote on the original motion, which would include the two pieces of property that currently have use happening on them and excludes the vacant lot. Motion by Commissioner Martinez and second by Commissioner Hadeen. All in favor of that? Any opposed? All right, that passes 6 in favor, 1 abstaining. What else do we need?
And I didn't catch if it was included in the motion that they would adopt the findings and conclusions that were drafted.
I think he did.
Yep.
Okay, it did.
Pretty sure
Yep.
it was.
He read it. That's all.
Okay, all right, with that, I believe we've come to the end of the BOE meeting, correct? Nothing else that needs to be dealt with? All right, with that, I will close this meeting at 4:22. And do we want to take a brief recess or go straight?
Could
on?
thank you for that. That was good. Could I just ask one quick question?
Sure.
So on the vacant lot, understanding the vote and all that, wonderful, thank you. We're putting our plans in place now to do a capital campaign. The capital campaign is going to be between $6 and $11 million for the building that we hope to build on that vacant lot. It's going to be, lodging built for people with disabilities. It's going to be conference rooms and some offices for our team. What's the process to do our best to make sure that parcel, once we build the building, will also be tax exempt? Will we go through this process again? Just because the potential of having taxes on that value would be really tough on our budget. So I just want to make sure we have clarity on that before we move forward with any build.
I would say that we would, or that you would want to get with the county attorney moving forward plans to get some clarity on that, but it will require another vote is my understanding.
Go through the assessor's office.
The assessor's office, thank you.
Okay,
All right,
thank you so much.
all right, so with that, we will close this meeting at 4:23. Move straight into the commission meeting, all right.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Okay, we are going to move into our regularly scheduled Grand County Commission meeting for June 2nd and open this meeting at 4:23. And we have in attendance the same as we have for our Board of Equalization. And just those of you that are coming in late, we're finishing that up. So we will go into our citizens to be heard right after our Pledge of Allegiance. Stand with me. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so we are going to move on to our citizens to be heard. Do we have anyone in the audience that would like to come up and speak? Come on up.
I want to bring up something that's not on the current agenda. Oh, I'm sorry, Pete Gross. I just want to bring up a subject that may come up before the commission, maybe not, but worth me planting some seeds of thought to you if and when it does. This is about people who don't learn history are doomed to repeat it. The history of the nuclear, so Operation Gigawatt, which is related to the data centers that are proposed, Box Elder County and all that controversy. Spencer Cox has his Operation Gigawatt, which strongly emphasizes nuclear power. I'd like to point out that of 253 nuclear reactor orders in the United States, less than half of those were ever built. Most were canceled. Some of them were abandoned, partially constructed. By 1978, nuclear reactor orders had plummeted to 0, except for right at the end of the year, there were a couple of last minute ones. Both of those never got constructed, again, because there was no business case for them. After a 30-year hiatus of nuclear reactor orders, during the Bush administration, the 2005 Energy Policy Act had another billions of dollars to subsidize nuclear. Crickets, nothing happened. During the Obama administration, Obama implemented $8.3 billion in loan guarantees. Still nothing. Finally, couple of states, South Carolina and Georgia, passed what they call sort of euphemistically advanced cost recovery programs, which meant that they could bill ratepayers in advance for the construction of a nuclear reactor, regardless of whether it actually generated any electricity. So what happened? In South Carolina, the emergency summer ordered 2 reactors. They started construction. They got about like 5 or 6 years into it, about $9 billion, and they abandoned them, bankrupt. So Vodal nuclear reactors in units 3 and 4 were ordered after about 10 years, I think something like 10 years behind schedule. They finally completed them, and they cost about twice the budget. I've got less than 60 seconds left. So what about all these other countries? Finland, Olkiluoto, Unit 2, ordered it, built by the French. Took about 15 years to construct, about triple the original budget. So France, the country that supposedly does nuclear power right, Flamanville, Unit 3, AP1000 nuclear reactor. Took 17 years to complete and came in quadruple to whatever 7 times the original budget. Meanwhile, solar cost is plummeting. Utah has superior solar resources, just a smidgen right behind Arizona. And I should probably wrap up here. So anyway, let's not have history repeat itself in Utah. Thank you.
Okay, do we have anyone else in the chambers that would like to come speak? Or Allison?
My name is Allison Mathis. I'm a resident of Grand County. I'm here to exercise my First Amendment rights of free speech and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. I'm going to use an adaptation of an adage among lawyers. Part of it says, if you have the facts on your side, pound the facts. If you don't have the facts, pound the table and yell. 2 weeks ago, we saw a whole lot of figuratively pounding the table and figuratively yelling from 3 commissioners, Mr. Martinez, Mr. Winfield, and Ms. McCandless. And I think that's because the facts are not on their side. This is related to the shuttle system that they would have put in for a tune of $3 million, of which $500,000 comes from basically us. The TRT mitigation fund basically comes from us. What we got instead was a whole bunch of ad hominem attacks, disparaging comments about engaged and informed citizens, other diversionary tactics, and what I consider to be unprofessional conducts, and serious logical fallacies that were so extreme that they made the interpretations the particular commissioner said based on facts turned them into things that are not true. There were very few, if any, actual facts in support of Grand County spending $500,000 on the shuttle system. I believe that it was particularly telling that one of the main arguments of the shuttle system was that Mr. Winfield and Mr. Martinez were saying they were getting things done. I asked, what's the point? Why do something just to get something done if that something is not positive or beneficial to the citizens of the county, particularly when it's incredibly expensive and it's taking money for other high priority needs for the county? Again, what's the point of doing something just to get things done? This makes me think of a well-known Ed Abbey quote, growth for the sake of quote, growth is the ideology of the cancer cell. In terms of getting things done, Mr. Winfield said two weeks ago, quote, I ran on affordable housing, a strong economy, and fiscal transparency, end quote. What does Winfield's track record have to do with affordable housing? I hopped online, looked at the TI, and what I saw reported was a $200,000 loan last winter. I didn't see any other accomplishments from my internet search. So what I'm seeing is $200,000 for housing and $500,000 for the shuttle. That seems really distorted to me. And also, Mr. Winfield has been the exact opposite of transparency related to all this public land management stuff, going to the Gardner study, to the December 1 public lands meeting, and whatever is happening now with Department of Interior officials right now. I thought 2 weeks ago was a bad day for the financial well-being of this county, and I also thought it was a pretty shameful day for this commission with the ad hominem attacks and the distortions that were just so extreme. I know I'm about out of time, so I will wrap things up. One of the things that, and I had a lot more to say, that I was particularly concerned about was Mr. Winfield saying, I will say there's a lot of local keyboard warriors that are spreading misinformation from day one about this. I find that, and there's more to this quote. I'm just gonna say, I find that extremely troubling. I think commissioners should welcome and inform and engage citizenry, not disparage them. Thank you for your time.
Do you have any other citizens in the audience who would like to speak? What about online?
We do have a hand up.
And, oh, Rory, go ahead and unmute.
Yes, thanks, commissioners, for your time today. I appreciate you letting me speak. I got a couple things. One is on the agenda tonight, and I'm not sure what item number it is, but it's on the asphalt out at the airport. I just want you guys to look at that very carefully because I was at the meeting last night and they didn't specifically say exactly what that was going to be paved in front of. I know that a lot of the hangars that are already built, if that's where it's going, then that's a different story. But if they're not built, the county, in their, they actually make them pay for that if they're building a new building. So I just hope that you guys will look at that, make sure that that's not going in front of buildings that are getting built, because the person that's building that building needs to be pay for that asphalt. Also, I don't know where that money came from, but that's an interesting one for me. Also, last meeting, at the council meeting, I was shut down for wanting to talk again. I wanted to mention that you guys talked about the help for the ranchers and the farmers in our area, which was great. But there's a lot of other businesses in our county that are struggling with the water shortage. So I was hoping that you guys would add that to your list of things to send to the state. So thank you for your time. Have a good meeting.
Thank you. All right, anyone else in the chambers? And no one else online. All right, we are going to move on to our department reports. So we have our IT department with that. Then the arrows.
Cindy Servos. Hey, everybody.
Hey, Matt.
I can talk here. Practice for you.
Okay.
Bring it up. As noted, I can kind of walk around this room, as you all know, and we can hear each other. So,
Thank you.
everybody on
Better.
in peanut gallery, when they comment, it also shows up online too. The reason I start this off with that is that I'm standing here not in front of a microphone, and I guarantee you that any one of the AI note takers that are actively being used in everybody's pockets and listening to this meeting are transcribing every little tiny word that I would say. Whether I say it like this, I say it like this. Please be aware of the technology that's around you. I like to start stuff off with sometimes a little bit of theatrics, right? Lots of fun. I was going to come in here and like flash the lights and I won't give me a stroke or something. So I have a report for you. It's in your packet. I don't know if you've taken the time to read the report. It's in essence the same report that I provided here for the last 15 years. In my 16th year of employment here at the county, and I am your IT director. My name is Matt Sanaceros. In my department, I have a mission statement and goals because I really believe in strategic planning. If we don't have a focus on the way that we're working as an organization, then the people that we're leading behind us are kind of back there flailing and picking up scraps the best we go. My mission statement is for our department is that Grand County Information Technology Services provides reliable, robust, and integrated technology which improves the ability of the county to serve its constituency. And our goals, very simple, is that we just strive to provide solutions that improve the efficiency, the accessibility, and the security of the communications and data that we have. Those are the same mission and goals that I've had for our IT department for a long time at this point. Try to stick to them. I don't have a nice polished speech to give you all. I give you this report every year in the same basic format, hoping that you read it. And I come to you with a little bit of theatrics and hope that you have some questions for me. Because as you see in my report, there's lots of words on here, guys. I'm responsible for a lot of different things here at the county. And I'd be happy to talk and take the 15 minutes of my department report and give you back something that's of use to you as a commission. So to that end, I would open it up initially with questions. And if not, I'll just keep talking. And please.
Sorry.
Yeah, please.
You spoke about the computer screen behind you.
Yes.
Yeah. Needs on budget.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
Please.
From my perspective, I need to know, it is really nice to know those before budget season.
Heck yeah.
So we don't see them pile up come budget season. So thank you for saying that today. So we know the ball is rolling. I mean,
it's
I'd rather see those preemptively than come budget season and everyone. It's not a sense of everyone's hands out, but it does consume the totality of my capabilities to go over line by line at that time. This time of year, it's been really nice to know.
Absolutely. And to that end, I appreciate the question. This is very early in the year for department reports. I made it a point when the schedule came out this year, said, you know what, I put mine at the top of the list. Because I don't want to get this washed into budget time, anything else. I'm seeking to get our GIS person reclassified because his jobs have increased, his roles have increased. He does a great job. Fantastic staff. I think that we need to award and really hold on to the key players and staff that we have here. And to that end, there is certainly budget on top of everybody's mind. And God knows there's a whole lot of hot topics that I'm going to try to not step on here, but to that end, I think it's not cheap. You know, sometimes you pay for what you get. So I'd be happy to go on about any one of these particular things. You brought up TV. Thank you so much. I've tried to make this room as a hybrid type of a solution so that you don't have to have a dedicated AV person here. You've got Quinn. Quinn deserves a round of applause, as well as all the commission administration staff. They do a great job of moderating, making sure all the stuff runs. But by and large, it does run on Zoom. Zoom is the key to keeping this whole system running. It's hybrid. In the room itself, you have this lovely thing, which is a touch screen. It was purchased as a touch screen by request from the commission because y'all wanted to get up here and touch it. Nobody uses it. We really love to put this somewhere where it does get used, like out at the EOC or somewhere training facilities or something else. We've talked about putting like a video wall here. I can clean all this up. All your wires go here, give you a lot more platform to be able to see. Have different cameras, different pieces that we can add into this. I'm all ears for what you want to go with. So please, absolutely. Brian.
So you spoke of vision right there. One of the things when myself and Commissioner Winfield were up at the NACO conference was the WCAG2, which is a requirement that that counties become or governments become ADA compliant. And then I just looked it up here. So it's April 26, 2027, that all counties over 50,000 people are required to be compliant. And then it's April 26, 2028. That all counties underneath 50. So that would be our deadline right there. Are you working on bringing us up into those standards?
Yes. WCAG is the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines 2.0. And as noted, there's some dates in there depending on population for government websites very specifically to become accessible for all sorts of people. We just heard from BOE. There's all sorts of people in this world that have disabilities. And we as government, it's kind of, we're negligent in some regards if we're not able to provide it in the way that they can consume it. Whether they're blind, whether they're deaf, whether they're hard of seeing, there's all those pieces that go into the website so that you have all your metadata tags, all of those pieces that provide that accessibility, translation, lookup features, being able to even use eyesight to be able to read. There's some really cool, interesting things when it comes to disability pieces. And we are very much on top of it, on top of it. We're working on it to meet that 2028 date.
Yep.
I'm trying to throw that in priority with all the other pieces that potentially are out here, but absolutely it's on our radar.
Perfect.
And,
Yeah, as things are updated, we're making sure that we keep that in.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. And when we went through, we did a redesign of our website not too long ago. It's been a couple of years by now. But we did do a thorough review at the time of our website redesign, picking up all of the various WCAG violations, if you want to call it that. We went through a significant effort going through cleaning up pieces, making sure the metadata and all the stuff was on pictures as part of that redesign branding. And with our website host, they help provide that service as well too. But you bring up cost, a lot of these companies out there will just give you a report, fix it. So there's definitely man hours and other pieces, and the way our website has a content management system in it. And so each department is actually responsible for updating their section of the website. And so as the public is sitting here listening to this, you guys look at our website. If you have a particular page that's not updated, it's that department head, that elected official, they have access into it. They should be able to update it.
And so those costs would then be that department's costs to go right.
It just kind of
Yep.
filters out into the ether essentially as
Same way with our Adobe software.
basically, kind of same material. Any other questions?
Not a question, but just a comment, and that was that your report was not in the packet, but Dana has since uploaded it since you mentioned that we should have read it. So it's now in there for the public and for us to look at.
Is now, good, because I looked through all my
Because
emails.
I looked in there this morning and I saw that it was checked for some reason to not be in the agenda, but it was definitely attached to your.
I just wanted people to know.
No, please. Yeah, absolutely. There's really not a whole lot of stuff in here that is. There's nothing in here that is proprietary or, security minded or is going to reveal any super secrets or any of that kind of stuff. Any other questions?
We just want you to know why we're not prepared.
No worries. No worries. And thank you. That's what I was going to say. I really appreciate that. To that end, I know that I want to be respectful of your time.
Chuck has a
I
comment.
actually had one, Matt. Yeah, so you opened with, you made a remark about AI note takers and
Yes, sir.
such, and that made me realize that just today, I literally had 3 different AI note takers send me summaries from, that I didn't
But
ask.
you had no idea that you would.
Absolutely, they came in my email, and so since you brought that up, is there jeopardy there? And if
Yes,
so,
absolutely.
what is it?
Very much so. And you, please correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Stocks. And this is actually kind of interesting because I brought this up. Part of my role and as I worked here, with UAC and whatnot, you might remember I am on the Cybersecurity Commission for the state of Utah. A couple of meetings ago, we had of the Capitol a discussion with Governor and everybody else, and some of this bit was literally about AI note takers and same kind of story of, oh my gosh, I just participated in this meeting. I've got all of these notes that verbatim shows all of these pieces. The reason I opened with that is that out of that meeting, the CIO for the state of Utah and otherwise came back and they kind of looked at all of what is happening with note taking and all of this. Within the Cybersecurity Commission, there is representatives from the Attorney General's office and otherwise, and they have come back with essentially the same guideline, if you want to call it that, is that as note takers, and AI is a very, very interesting animal, and AI can mean lots of different things. I'm happy to go down any one of those pieces, but AI note takers, it's taking a large language model, listening to yourself, as putting out a document. That's fine in and of itself, because as we take notes in an official capacity, your notes aren't necessarily subject to grammar. They're just your own population of your own thoughts. A note taker that is through source and been processed and otherwise it's given back to you as a document, that's still a note. As soon as you take that note and you modify it and you save it, that note is now a document. And that document is now subject to grandma.
So don't do that, John.
I don't know how else to end that statement other than a big smile. Be very cautious as you go about things. I'm not saying that anybody is trying to hide anything by any stretch of the imagination in grandma. But Utah, we're certainly working on the Utah Data Privacy Act. I am your chief officer for data privacy. We're doing data privacy program implementation across the board, record series, and all of this. And the reason I bring it up from a conversation at the Capitol, literally with CIO and Attorney General's office and otherwise, and the advice that they come back with is to be very, very careful with your note takers, i.e. don't use them to create some other official type of a document. If you want to, please use your notes. I'm not saying to not use a note taker, but if I can leave you with anything about AI, if you can remember anything out of anything I say today, I appreciate you're not prepared for this, but you have to keep the human in the loop. In any AI product that you have, you can't just directly rely on that it's verbatim what it is. Part of the reason I have a problem with the paper or some other people coming in here and saying, oh, this is exactly transcript. Probably close, but is it actually official? And across the state of Utah, it's becoming more and more an accepted thing that people are taking AI note takers as your minutes. Just caution you on. That's the biggest advice that I might.
Thank you, Matt.
Absolutely. Thank you for the question.
I have one last question for you. So when I remember a few months ago, you asking for some help with a Dead Horse Point for some radio
Yes, ma'am.
towers. How did that end up?
Still in progress.
Okay.
It's only been August since I came and saw you, so it hasn't even been a whole year since I've stood up in front of you. The Dead Horse Point one, I did go up to the Capitol to advocate for appropriations bill from Senator Harper and Senator Albrecht to continue funding for the Utah Cyber Center. That's why I left the Capitol. I just so happened in that appropriations meeting to ask for one personal privilege, and they let me talk about Dead Horse Point. That just kind of started a fire in so many different ways, and I've had emails and other pieces and included you all on it. Grant County as well as San Juan County has signed a letter of support for it. What we're trying to do is to place a VHF radio tower around Dead Horse Point, where I initially advocated for at the visitor center. Geologically speaking, is not going to work well for the ideal rescue sites to be there. Possibly pushing it all the way out to the point itself and putting it on the large shade structure that's out there potentially may work. But in all of this, I've also come to find that I've bumped on me like so many things in this world, that there was already a grant that was approved for this. There's equipment that's purchased, and that's part of why I've just pressed the brake pedal for a minute. So I have some equipment that's sitting in a warehouse. I have a tower, apparently some batteries, charger, a couple other pieces, and they apparently lined out a location that is out on East Mesa, is what I call it, from Dead Horse Point. From the Dead Horse Left Center out there is just a mesa that's kind of right on the edge of it. And what we're really trying to do with this is reach down into the canyons, and specifically Cane Creek and up over Hurrah Pass. And if I'm able to get up over Hurrah Pass, we can see back down into Cane Creek. And Cane Creek, down all of that area is very, very heavily trafficked. There's some very, very complex rescues that happen out there. And the communications is, they become professionals at workarounds, let's put it that way. And that's what this effort is to try to help. To answer your question very shortly though, because of the fact that I found that I have equipment now sitting in a closet somewhere, I'm going to use that equipment. I'm going to really kind of focus on this East Mesa area. But that has some different archaeological pieces and some other possible approval steps to be able to get out there. I think it's totally doable though, and I'd like to be able to see some sort of traction on it by the end of the year, because apparently it's sitting in a warehouse already, so.
Thank you.
Thanks for the question.
Okay.
Anything else? I'll make the rest of this very, very quick, I promise. No question?
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much for asking a few of them. And please, read this over. I'm not gonna read it verbatim since you now all have a copy of it, but please look it over. If you want to, go ahead, throw it in a ChatGPT and tell it to summarize and say what the highlights of it were. It's a great way of summarizing all this stuff. With being short in time, I will just leave you with some notable achievements and anticipated budget needs. Since I talked to you guys last, we've rolled out managed detection and endpoint response. It's a managed system that lives on endpoint computers. It's real time. It tracks and blocks unwanted software, gives you reports, all sorts of things. And that is in conjunction with Utah Cyber Center, who we are working back and forth with. Again, I'm on the Cybersecurity Commission for the state of Utah. The last government session, they were able to get the appropriation that I was just speaking of from Harper and Albrecht to continue the small state local government programs, which takes care of this endpoint response, takes care of some education, trainings, other pieces. But they've also this year able to bring in K through 12. And that is a big lift. Bringing on K through 12, I was able to vote and say, yes, do it. But we appropriated over $30 million of cybersecurity funds from the state of Utah to directly assist small state, local, territory governments and our K through 12. I bring that up because it's really unique in the state of Utah, or not in the state, I'm sorry, in our country. The fact that state of Utah is adopting this whole state, they're actually standing behind it, they're funding it, and they're doing it. It's something completely different than what you're going to find in even some of our neighboring areas. The way that cyber happens and how fast it happens relies on us to all work together. We've migrated a whole bunch of our core servers, upgraded our storage systems. There's over 20 servers and 30 terabytes of data. My new sysadmin has been very helpful in all of this. Like I said, the privacy program I've been implementing. I've been able to extend desktop life cycles, saves money. We had an emergency purchase at the end of last year. Our phone system failed. That up front is a one-time cost, but the savings that we're going to get by dropping all the other superfluous services that were there will actually pay for that system within probably about a year or two. A more capable system. Working on policy procedures, disaster control. And then you may have seen some pieces in Facebook and otherwise. I put together and designed, sourced, configured, continue to configure our sheriff's office trucks. I've been able to work out a deal that saved us about $18,000 in modems. That puts fancy modem in each one of our trucks. Each one of our vehicles now has Starlink on it and a FirstNet cellular device. And they will automatically fail over when the cellular device drops out. It'll pop back into the Starlink. Our radios and whatnot can actually switch over and they can talk over Wi-Fi. So it kind of helps in some of these situations where you're in candy bottom, right? Don't have a VHF resource or something out there and you need to be able to talk back to dispatch. It's kind of the only way of doing it. We're pretty unique in the state by doing it the right way the first time. There's been a few different ways that people have thrown it together. This is the plainest way of doing it. So I've been able to save us quite a bit of money on implementing all of that as well. As far as budget-wide, I've asked for the last several years that the commission make a priority towards adopting access controls. That's essentially putting key cards on this building, cameras, all the other fun stuff that goes along with it. That's still a high priority list and I will continue to keep coming back with it. since it's been kind of pushed back every time, I am left to just go back to all my department heads and electeds and say, if it is critical to you, please bring it up at budget time. I'm bringing it up again now to plant a seed that everybody needs this. It's something that would be much easier and cheaper if we did it all at once. Expanding network, you might see some stuff in the next year, like next year about network things. Rolling out some other advanced pieces of security, changing out end of life equipment. This building itself needs likely a radio distribution system, or called a BDS. It's a building distribution system. It's for emergency communications and emergency responder radios. Essentially puts antennas on the outside of the building, and it runs a feeder cable through the deep parts of the building, i.e. like in the jail and places where it's really hard to get a cell phone reception when you're covered. It's not cheap. And then we talked a little bit about data privacy and whatnot. That cost is going to be kind of absorbed in so many different ways by various departments and whatnot, but you'll probably see some one-offs and things during budget meetings regarding some of those. Other than that, I will just leave you with one final little statement of, and this one came from ChatGPT and telling me how to succinct all of this. And it says, technology services are no longer isolated support functions. They are embedded in nearly every county operational, communication, records, emergency response, and public-facing process. Yet all the while, the cybersecurity threat landscape and the rapid advances of artificial intelligence are changing the way the world works. To that end, I thank you so much for taking some time and listening to me chat. And if you ever have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm more than happy to chat about any one of these particular things and listen to me, and even just now go on for hours. Try not to be long-winded, but I'll give you one more opportunity. Any other questions that might have rattled?
All right, well, thank you
So much. Appreciate y'all.
Thanks, Matt. Thank you. All right, moving along to our general business action items, discussion and consideration of approval. So number one is our commission member disclosures and future considerations. Mike?
Disclosure, my wife works for the sheriff's department.
Okay.
Will accentuate.
Any other disclosures and future considerations? Okay, we'll move along to approval of consent agenda items. A is the approval of meeting minutes for May 19th, 2026. B is the ratification of payment of bills, and those are. Second. So total bills is $1,832,503.16. Total payroll is $447,605.61. For total bills and payroll of $2,280,108.77. C is a ratification of the change order number 2, Canyonlands Airport additional asphalt. D, ratification of the ORI amendment for contract 251763-1 Mud Springs. E, approval of a partial refund of property taxes for parcel 02-0RIM-0046 for the 2025 tax year. And F is a renewal of MOU with the Mohawk Valley Fire Department Administration of Impact Fees.
Trish, I have a question. Can I ask a question, or do you want me to pull the item and ask the question? How would you like that done, Madam Chair?
I think with the consent agenda items, we need to pull it.
Okay.
And then ask it. So which one do you want to pull?
The ratification of change order number 2.
Item
Sorry.
6.
Yeah, sorry. I
Okay.
forgot my computer. This is the first time I've ever done.
I was wondering why
I'm like,
I'm
I know, it's the first time I've ever done that.
So yeah, C is the ratification of change order number 2 for Canyonlands.
Yes.
So we'll pull that and we will discuss that right after number 3 because
That's
we have our court director here. So we'll just move that one. Go ahead, Jacques.
Motion to approve consent agenda as presented minus item C.
Okay. Second by Commissioner Winfield. All in favor? That passes 7-0. And we will move along to number 3, which is our reallocation of previously approved airport pavement funding to another location at the airport. I'm gonna ask Stephen to come up here, and then we'll also discuss the next one, number C.
I thought she was pulling both then.
Well, three is not on the consent.
Gotcha.
So the reallocation of the previous, I think that's like $54,000. We're gonna talk about
Yeah.
this one. Okay. And then the other one's like $1,000, but we'll talk about both and vote on both.
Okay, so yeah, and because of this public comment, I'll explain a little bit how we got that money. So if you remember, we built taxiway Foxtrot. That was a county funded project, so we borrowed basically $700,000 from the county, which is being paid back as we build hangars through an impact. Well, it's not an impact. It's a one-time fee per linear foot. That's how we're paying it back. We calculated that all based on that total amount of $70,000. As it turns out, the FAA requires that asphalt be laid down as a test strip. That's kind of a tongue twister. First, to make sure that it meets the qualifications for that heavier ramp that the FAA funded. We had them lay that test strip down on Foxtrot because it had a lower threshold because it carries less weight. Turns out that the test strip failed by the FAA standard, but it made it by the FAA standard for this particular area. So we basically got $54,000 of free asphalt, which means the project that we were doing had $54,000 left over from the appropriated $700,000. So since we've already calculated everything to pay it back based on the $700,000, we wanted to take that $54,000 and use it to renew and restore the asphalt in front of county-owned hangars. So the hangars in questions are the two hangars right now that Red Tail operates. And Rory in his comment is correct. When somebody builds a new hangar, we require them to put the pavement in. These are hangars we own and charge rent for. And a lot of that pavement in front of it is payment. So as long as we've got the mobilization to do the ramp project that we have, it makes sense for us to fix that part that's broken in front of our own building that we're charging people to be in. Questions?
So we're gonna currently get,
Go ahead.
We're gonna currently. So the $700,000 that was a loan from the county to the airport to Foxtrot is already set to be repaid at that amount of linear foot that's gonna equal $700,000 in repayment. So in essence, the people that are going to build the hangars out there are going to pay for the $54,000 of asphalt that is going to help our county hangars.
Correct.
Okay. So it's not gonna stop us from getting repaid that $54,000, so that's already going to be, that will be repaid.
Correct.
All right, so it's just a bonus for the county. Go ahead, Mike.
You already answered my question.
Mary.
How long is it gonna take?
To get repaid, we put the 10 years in there. It just depends on how quickly we can get hangars built. Right now, I've got 2 leases, not counting the 2 leases that are already signed. So we've got 4 leases ready to go to start building hangars, taxiways. So that revenue is going to start generating pretty soon here because they have to pay it at signing of lease.
Trish.
Did we ever get a contract or an MOU? I remember that the night that we obligated those funds, six
Yeah.
670.
Somewhere.
There was no contract. And did we ever get a contract or MOU to say that will be repaid? Yeah.
No, but we can write one. We just did it on the 10-year payback. You just voted on a 10-year payback and we just went that direction. But we can put together.
That was my memory that night, that we were supposed to get some type of contract, which
I spoke to Mark about that yesterday, actually, when I was going over some of this information, and I said, we need to get that, just to make sure that when none of us are around, that everybody still knows that it's happening. And so I think that Mark's gonna work with you to make sure that we have that contract. And then, I mean, obviously, you already have an MOU that's created that you're giving to the hangar people. There's the states that money's going in there. So just getting that contract.
It's actually written into the lease.
it into the lease.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we have that when none of us are around in 7 years. You never know.
Exactly. No, I understand. That makes sense to me.
All right, Jacques?
Yeah, so had this 54,000 not come up, was this like a priority spot, or is this kind of like, oh, we have 54,000, let's find something to do with it?
No, it's priority spot. It's failing asphalt that is not FAA eligible in front of a hangar that we own.
Okay, and then would that have, so that, is that on a priority list then?
Yeah, we would have had to find a way to do it
Okay, so
on our own.
you would have looked for a way to do that.
Yeah.
And then my other question is, if we didn't allocate this for that, this money is basically county money, because it's not getting lent, so it would remain in our capital fund to be used on other projects that might
Correct.
need it. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
I'm gonna go Mike and then you.
I'd like to make the motion. I move to approve the use of $54,000 saved in the Taxi Lane F project to repair the pavement in front of the county-owned hangars during the apron reconstruction project commencing June 8th.
Yep, second. Brian, okay, and then Trish had a comment.
So is this on your capital projects list?
Yeah.
Yes, because I
It's, we
see it on that.
do it under project. I don't know that it's exactly on it to fix that 50 feet.
Yeah, I didn't see it. on that list.
But we can certainly put it on it.
Okay,
It should be on it.
it's not on it.
It absolutely should be on that list.
Okay.
Because there is a section of it
Okay.
that is completely
I'm just telling you,
unwrapped.
it's not on the list, so it's
I will
good
get
if
it
it
on the
gets on.
list.
Okay, so I'd like to make some comments if possible. And Gabe, did you
Yeah,
have
Gabe,
a
I
question?
just signed up too, but
Maybe Gabe's first then.
You were already done. You can keep them.
Okay, so I guess I'm struggling, and I guess I'll start with the long range capital plan. I looked at that today, and that's why I know it's not on the list. So on that list, we have 8 departments, 60 projects. And of the 60 projects in those 8 departments, only 4 have been approved, and they're all for the airport. So the remaining 54, there's a lot of departments that are not getting any attention. And this isn't towards you, Steve, so please don't.
No, I totally understand that,
So,
but that's also not going to be paying you back over time.
Well, we don't have a contract, so
True.
until I see a contract, I have a hard time believing we're gonna get paid back. I hope so. But I did ask for a contract that night, which that's been quite some time ago that I didn't write down the dates.
Okay, if I missed
That's
getting
okay.
that contract written, I apologize.
So I'm struggling with this concept. If there was money saved, I think it's fabulous. But that is county money that we obligated out of general fund / capital projects. And so for a department to say, well, we saved it, so let's just move it around and use it again. It's like, no, that's county money. That there are endless needs in this county on that are on the list that I think would be better utilized in that manner. I'm really concerned that we have one department that's absorbing a huge amount of unbudgeted. I'm going to make this very clear. We keep spending money that is unbudgeted. This spend was not within budget, and it was a huge spend that I'm going to go back to that night. There was no fiscal impact on the agenda. There was like 2 sentences, and you did a great job when you presented, but none of that was in the packet. So the community had no idea. The commissioners had no idea. I came in and was kind of taken aback. So I really think this money should just be, well, it's not going to be returned because it's still just in our account. And we distribute it if we feel, I don't think we should distribute it at all. We're in, as stated before, in fiscal crisis. We are well over budget for 2026. And I don't think we should spend it. Excuse me.
Okay, Gabe, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I just want to say it's very completely valid to sort of bring up the savings on this other project and as a part of a narrative to support an expense like this. And I love learning about the idea that the payback is going to be paid in full and won't reflect that savings. That's great to learn. But from a budgetary standpoint, this is just a separate appropriation. It really is its own appropriation. And so the way the motion reads, I think it's confusing. It makes it sound like it was kind of shoehorned into the same appropriation of funds, and it's just really not how the budget works, and I just want to make sure that that's clear for anyone tuning in.
Makes sense. Mike? Yes.
To validate Trish's concerns here, I understand those concerns. Even if we don't put 54,000 out of this, the need's still there, right? So we're gonna take 54,000 from anything else to repair that.
And Bill?
Or stop charging for the hangar. I mean, it's our responsibility, to make sure that that's usable and you can taxi over it.
Yeah.
And it's very quickly in one section. There's one section that's not too bad, but in one section, it's very close to unusable. And anybody who ever visited the airport, I'd be happy to show it to you. And just to answer, I know that we've come hat in hand. I get it. Like I tried to explain the last time, these FAA grants and opportunities come in waves. This is and I get that this isn't part of that, but it's because we've already got the mobilization out there and it's the same. It's just another section right there close.
Right.
It comes in waves. So you just try and ride the wave when you get it. And I don't know how else to explain it to you, but I understand what you're saying, that we've come a lot. Yeah.
And Bill, go ahead.
Yeah, I struggle also. I struggle with somebody that doesn't understand that the airport is an economic driver that provides the funds to keep this county. Mary, were you speaking or was I?
I said point of order. I just don't want this meeting to turn into the meeting that it was before. So when possible, let's not point fingers.
So again, as I continue here with the fact that I'm struggling, that folks don't understand this is an economic driver, and this county has been 4 years in an economic slump. People have described it as a disaster, what's gone on here for the last 4 years. So as we put a little bit of money back into this airport to keep it up and running, to provide for this county, for the employees that work here, for staff, for commissioners, we all live off the economy of the taxes that are derived here. So I would like to agree with Mary that it would be nice if the political games would stop and that we would just move forward and work on bringing this county back to just a positive financial situation rather than a negative one. And if we want to continue going down this road as we have been, we could point fingers as to who caused the economic slump that we're in. Over budget, where are you getting those numbers from? I would like to see those statistics and have those pointed out clearly, because as I looked over what the counties come in, and I know Gabe has supplied us with some information, and as I've looked at what we're doing, we're currently seeing a positive with what's coming into this economy for, I believe, at least the last 5 months. So to continue drag us down when we're trying to help turn this economy around and bring it back is, as Mary said, is kind of a political game. So these are county-owned hangars. We have an obligation to keep them up, or as I think Steve mentioned, we could stop charging rent to the FBO that utilizes them. And the FBO is a big driver out there at the airport of bringing in taxes for this county. They sell fuel, which we benefit from. They provide parking spaces, which we derive some income off of. There's all kinds of services that when somebody pulls up, whether they're in a single engine airplane or a jet, that we benefit at this county tax-wise for. So I would appreciate if we would look at this as an investment in one of our largest economic drivers of this county and continue to help bring whatever we can back to keep our finances in a positive situation.
Trish, go ahead.
I'm not gonna respond to a lot of that because it's just, whatever. It's, yeah. What my concerns are inequities throughout the county, where are we putting our resources that again, were not budgeted. And absolute needs that are becoming, and I'm not saying this isn't a need, I'm sure it is a need. But I've been to many facilities throughout this county, and I'm gonna tell you, there's a lot of needs out there. One concern I'm very concerned about right now is solid waste. We're getting into a DEFCON 5 phase, it's solid waste district. The weeds and mosquito abatement building is literally falling down around them. There's so many needs in this county. That's my concern. My concerns with that and with the budget and being over budget. And we did go into this year, 350K is where we pulled from in reserves when in final budgeting at the end of 25. And so all of these spends are over budget. Now, the fiscal outlook might be looking great, and that's great. But the reality is we are over budget for 2026. So those are my concerns. And that's why I will continue to vote against spends that are outside of budget. I'll just continue because I've got to pull in the reins at some point. And these are needs that could be addressed in 27. I think they should go on the capital improvements list with all the other departments. I would encourage all commissioners to look at that list. I'm happy to send it out to you to see the needs that are being asked for with the various departments. So that's where I'm coming from.
Hey, just real quickly, you're right. Yeah, we could Band-Aid it or whatever and wait till 27. But we won't already have a contractor out there holding.
I know. I've heard that. I heard that that's why we did the 670 or 690.
It's the reality.
Yeah, and I pulled up the capitals list while I was sitting here talking about that, and I think you said that
I counted
6 projects got done, but I'm counting well over a dozen, and every department had something done.
This is the most updated list that I got today, and out of all the departments, that only I saw 4 approved out of 60, and they were all.
Well, maybe that's because all the other ones that we approved in February have already been taken off there. So we did a whole bunch of them.
Okay, so I'm looking. This is the updated list that I.
And so there's a whole bunch that we've approved and that are being worked on and that are taken care of. So maybe those were all taken off of the list. And
this is the list I got today.
So, yeah. All right. And I think Jacques had one more comment and then I'll call for a vote.
Yeah, yeah, this is a tough one. I definitely see the value in spending the 54 out of the airport. And as Steve said, we already have a contractor out there. I think we just heard a department report where Matt said he had needs. I think every single every single department in the county is going to come before us and say that they have needs as well. It's tough, but I think my personal preference would just be to see the 54,000 go back to capital projects and be spent, or at least decided on in a more holistic manner. So spent that way. But that's all I have to say, and I'd love to hear a vote call.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and call for a vote. So we had a motion by Mike and a second by Brian to go ahead and fund the $54,000. Well, yes, basically we are funding the $54,000 for this project. So all in favor? And all opposed. That passes 4-3 with Commissioner McGann, Commissioner Heather, and Commissioner Dean in opposition.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Or just future considerations? I would love to see that contract once it goes to Stephen, and I'm not expecting it to be on the next meeting, but I'd love to see it in the next month.
I would too at the latest on the,
That'd be great.
Yep. Talking about it yesterday.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh, we're talking about another one.
Sorry.
It's just a quick question.
Yeah, we gotta.
We're all good.
It's just about execution of change order number 2 for CNY. So some additional asphalt.
Yeah. And that all looks good.
Go ahead and ask the question.
And I understand the match and all that, but it is $1,000 or a little over $1,000, but it did not have, it's not within budget. And it doesn't say where the money's coming from. Do you know who's gonna pay for that?
Where the 1,000
Yes.
is coming from.
Is that coming out of your budget?
We can take it out of my budget.
And if somewhere down.
Then we'll have to request some more later, but we can. Yeah.
Well, it doesn't say where it's coming from.
Right.
Okay.
Usually.
I mean, if it's coming out of the county.
All of our matches have been coming out of the county. So when we do an AIP project and we send it through, it comes out of the county. So my anticipation was that was where this would come as well.
So. So maybe.
It's a grant match.
I don't know how this usually works and maybe the admin can help me, when you guys are, or the chair could help me, like when you guys are putting together the agenda. I think the fiscal impact should always be there, and then just the budget line item where it's coming out of. I think it'd be really good to just have, for me, I get really uncomfortable when I don't know where that money's coming from. I would imagine it makes clerk a little uncomfortable also. So that's all I'm asking, is that we have a line item. I don't know why it's funny. I don't think it's funny. I think it's very serious. We have a line item where that money's coming from.
I think that's.
I'm stuck, I'm not.
I know, I'm saying, I think that's doable. We have an AIP project that's already underway
Oh, I
and
understand.
already done one change order to it.
This isn't on you, Steve. I'm
I'm
saying there's a process up here this is not on you.
What I think is a change order, it was something that had to be done, and the county, it does say county share, so on the fiscal impact says $1,050, it says county share. So the county would be paying that, and generally in our purchasing policy, things that are under $5,000 don't come before the commission. So but this is a ratification, I signed this change order for this, and that's why it's here, is because it was a ratification from the chair to sign. So those are generally the way that that's how it's been working since I've been a commissioner. I think
I'd like to see some budget line items. I think that's an easy ask.
it's already signed, yeah. And I don't know that Gabe already always knows where that's gonna go in the budget. Answer that, Gabe.
It's an AIP project, so that's Fund 56. It's associated with the airports, and the county share it. Because this is a capitalizable asset, even though what we're not spending more than $5,000 on it, it would be most appropriately attached to as a capital. I would tend to go towards capital projects because it is, the overall project and its overall cost is applicable to that fund. That's how I would shoot that.
That sounds good.
Out of it.
I'll take it out. Put it on your capital project. I just want to know that stuff. Mike?
We need to vote on this, so I'll propose the motion. I move to approve the ratification of change order number 2, CNY, additional asphalt in the fiscal impact of $1,050 for the county share.
And Bill seconds that, all in favor? Okay. I passed 7-0. Thank you.
Steve, I even voted for that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Mary, go ahead.
I just, maybe I was listening and trying to figure out what was happening, and I think maybe there's some confusion when some people are talking about the budget, they're talking about how much money we have coming in. And then when other people are talking about the budget, they're talking about what we budgeted for. And so if you're thinking about the money coming in, there's more money coming in than we expected, so that's up. But we have spent money that wasn't in our budget. So I think I'm seeing that they're talking about budget, but they're referring to different things.
Exactly. So we have money coming in, but
I'm hoping that, that could help with the understanding of one person saying that we are under budget and the other person saying we're over. I think it's just being looked at differently.
Well, and I'm talking about the approved 2000.
Move on to item number 6, which is the 2026 Cooperative Wildfire System Agreement. That is with, I don't think Kate's on here.
She was on.
She's online.
Yeah,
Okay.
she is.
Kate's online, and then Stephen, are you gonna be helping with this one as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Good afternoon. Could I get some indication that I am being heard?
I can hear you.
Perfect. Okay, County Attorney Stocks, I thought I could just do a quick overview of the system and then you could move into your comments. Does that work?
Yes.
So it's number 6.
Great. So the cooperative wildfire system is a system in which local government, so counties and municipalities, commit to certain mitigation actions and preparedness activities. In exchange, the state provides financial protection for catastrophic wildfires.
No, it's
Where's that coming from?
Kate, I think that she's got some background voice.
Kate's got a little bit of background noise. While she's adjusting that, My office is reviewing this contract and this document. If the commission would like to pass this evening, we're just asking for additional time for this to be or to be approved contingent on the attorney's office review. There's a couple contracts that UAC is reviewing in connection with the entity, the Utah Division of Forest, Fire, and State Lands, going through and discussing that. And then whenever Kate wants to continue on, there she goes.
I'm back. So, yeah, so this agreement would continue the commitment that we've been engaging in. So it covers us in 2026 and then for 5 years moving forward. That's all I have. I can answer any questions.
Okay, Mike.
I'd like to make a motion. I move to approve the 2026 Cooperative Wildfire Systems Agreement as amended pending attorney's office review.
A second.
So, and Mary, did you have a comment?
I'm fine with that.
Okay, Ryan.
And I talked with Commission Administration. There's also the Wildlands Urban Interface cooperative agreement that will be with FFSL. So while this is being reviewed, if we could just make sure that there's not going to be any conflicts between those two contracts. I did send it over to Mark, and Stephen, I'll get that over to you as well, just so that we can make sure that that's able to pass as well. I think that we have to have that done coming up in the next month. And then as well, just on an update on that, we'll also be reviewing the high risk map that should be coming out as well.
Yep, we can definitely do that.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? All right, all in favor of the motion? And that passes 7-0. And sorry, everyone, that number 4 is being postponed and it will be presented after the MTAB review. And number 5, also we're waiting on some information from the applicant. And so that was postponed until further notice. So moving on to number 7 is the first amendment to contract ABC Thompson LLC. And Cassie Hoffine is going to be presenting that.
I don't see that we have Santa Carey here from the information that I don't know if Mark feels more comfortable to give a report of the last conversation he had.
I did speak with Carrie and asked her if she wanted to continue with preparing the agreement. I think there were several mentions of returning funds that the county had provided, but she did indicate that she wanted to continue the process. So I indicated that we would continue to work on the agreement and get that to her.
I recently reached out to her and I did not receive any response. So I had told her last week or the last meeting that we would be presenting this one. So we have drafted the first amendment to the contract. I have provided some background information at meeting in December. You were all here. And then as far as the contract goes, what is included is a pretty tight timeline. We have site plan should be submitted by July 15th. And then that approval of that site plan needs to be done by August 25th. I have business licenses being acquired by December 1st, COOs by December 1st, and then open for business on December 31st. We've tightened default, repayment clawback, and then acknowledgements, and then extended the contract period. So all of that is lined out with a tighter timeline. I don't know if you guys have any questions.
Mary, go ahead.
I can try to remember from the last meeting. So if the contract fails on the first, say the first one, does that mean then we ask for repayment?
Yeah, so basically what would happen is if, let's say on July 18th, we don't have a site plan that has been submitted with everything that is needed, then it could potentially come back to you for extension, but if that extension isn't expressly submitted in writing before that July 15th, that would be a default. And then there would be 30 days to return full funds.
So if we vote for this tonight, then it's automatic return funds.
Yes, if there's default. If she complains,
That's what I meant.
yeah.
If there's a default, once this agreement is
Executed,
that we vote for and it's executed, then there won't be coming back to us to ask for an extension.
Correct. And if you look at the attachments, so the 3-page attachment on item 3, it says default unless the county commission approves a written extension failure to achieve any milestone identified in section 2 by the required deadline, it is considered a material default. And that means that we would be able to seek the terms, including repayment and clawback. One of the other things that was said during the last meeting was that there was never an obligation to open the business. That's not true. In all of the documents and original documents, there was the requirement to open. And in fact, she put reopen the cafe. She had even more than just the cafe. There was a sandstone time. I can't remember what
sundial.
Sundial, thank you. Sundials, there was going to be a 5 for 5 event. And it looks like from the additional documentation that she provided to Mark, there has been a lot of work that's done out there with the White House building, the original cafe, landscaping. A lot of those things have been done, but we're trying to reallocate efforts to be directed at the beginning stages of the site plan and going through that process. And so what Chrissy's drafted is a really good walkthrough of all the obligations that she has written in plain English so that everybody knows what's expected of her and what the county expects from us. We will work with her as best we can to achieve all the milestones. She has access to John and Andrew's team and the building department. Everybody has done a wonderful job of being willing to sit down. We've had commissioners sit down, Chrissy in my office sit down. So this is the best we could possibly do to provide her all of the support necessary to be able to go forward on the project.
So Stephen, so for example, A is that the site plan shall be submitted by July 15th. And if that does not happen, then that's an immediate clawback and it won't come before us. I'll just.
We don't have the ability to sue without permission. There'll be a conversation.
Okay, but that's our first.
That's what we're gonna do, because what we've, I can't say what has been said in the past, but it has been our intention from the attorney's office to bring forward cases and claims whenever we feel they're appropriate, but to make the decision to sue or to take action has to be done with the permission and approval from the commission. So we think that we've done through this year the best efforts and intents of the commission to make sure that this individual complies with the STAR grant and the original intent. That's why we met with them in January. We're just really hoping that the commission understands. I will bring this back to you all and say, this person has or has not completed the obligations. And this is, again, we're making it very clear to both us and the applicant what the expectations are. So,
Brian.
I have 2 questions. So the first one is the application. Is that where the intent to open was listed, or was it in the actual contract, or was it in both?
It was in both. The original contract referenced the application.
So it did include that and make that as part of the agreement.
Yes.
And they're both attached. The original contract's attached and so is her application are both attached.
I must have just missed it. I didn't see where the application was included as part of the contract.
Application is included as part of, I think it's called attachment B is the application, and it's incorporated, I believe, in like the section.
Okay,
Section 3 or something.
I might have missed it. I just wanted to clarify that was happening. And then second, would it be possible under 3 on default to take the unless the county commission approves a written extension? Basically just signifying that we're not going to issue an extension if the timelines are not met.
I think the only way, I mean, we can remove that. We're just trying to make it. I think there are certain circumstances, like say, for example, she provides the site plan to us. Let's say she gets it to the 4th year and she goes through and meets a lot of the obligations. But let's say, for example, she doesn't get the business license, but thinks she can get it instead of December 1st on December 6th. Do you guys want us to come back and say, hey, you missed December 1st, cancel the whole thing, claw back the money? I think there's certain circumstances in which we could have a conversation about the extension. We're asking to leave that a little bit flexible. We don't want to have to come back to the commission for every little thing. That's the information, give a little bit more time.
I would point out that in section 6, it does reference in here that this amendment constitutes the final extension of the agreement.
Yeah.
That language was purposeful to, I think, alleviate what you're actually asking.
Mike,
Has a motion been put forth? In that, I move to approve the First Amendment to the Sustainable and Resilient Star Business Grant Contract between Grand County and ABC Thompson LLC.
Second.
any other discussion? Go ahead, Jacques.
No, thank you guys for working on this. I think it was super fair, more than fair, and I very much look forward to a resolution one way or the other on this. So appreciate it.
Okay, we'll go ahead and call for a vote. Those in favor? And that passes 6-0 with 1 absent, Commissioner Hadid.
Sheila.
All right.
Time that right.
Number 8 is amending the CIB list to add a planning grant for the Moab Information Center, which is the MIC, we call it, for remodel and or rebuild. I'm gonna turn this over to Mark to talk about.
We had talked about the possibility of applying for a CIB grant for a feasibility study at the MIC if we wanted to do a total revamp of that facility. My recommendation is if we are only looking at restrooms to possibly forego this until we get to a point that we need to do a total rehab of that building.
Doc?
So this item is just to put it in front of the CIB, right?
Yeah,
Put it on the
I'll give you a little background on
Okay.
this. So obviously we know that the MIC bathrooms have been
Yeah.
important, and it's been a long run with it. There's been some discussion on possibly moving the Moab Office of Tourism over to that building and expanding it and making it bigger. So when we were talking an agenda review, we thought, well, if we approve bathrooms and spend $200,000 in bathrooms and then we do a remodel, is that just a waste of money? And so maybe we could go ahead and get a CIB grant to see what it would cost us to expand it. And if the bathrooms would fit in that as like phase 1 and then phase 2. But I think with some more conversation and looking at the lease, which we have, the lease is attached here, the MIC lease and stuff, that we probably, and an agenda review, I really wanted to move forward with the bathrooms because it's been a thing. It's been a long time coming. I think it reflects poorly on our community. Those bathrooms are well used and it's a big maintenance issue for Sean. He's always there. And so I think it's kind of went back and forth. And so we brought it forward to the commission to say, hey, do we want to do a CIB grant to look at a remodel there, or do we want to just do the bathrooms? And I think that the vote could go either way with that. I think after some more discussion and thought, maybe we don't want to go on with the CIB and we just want to do the bathrooms. But welcome to any other discussion, but that's where that's all coming from.
So basically a vote for to putting it on the CIB is a vote in favor of looking at a bigger remodel, probably taking more time, more expense, but pushing it down the road. Whereas a vote against it would be more for, hey, let's do some of the bathrooms right now because they're in dire condition.
Yeah, and I think we could even entertain a motion to do the bathrooms.
Yeah.
At this time. That's what we want to do. So.
We have a fiscal impact on the bathrooms right now? Or is that the 40,000?
No, that's just for the,
that's a 200K, right?
Yes.
I can go ahead and speak a little.
Go ahead, Brian.
So having talked to folks, the bathrooms from the state contractor were quoted, I think, at $200,000 or just a little bit under that, $199,000. And so for that quote right there, I believe that Sean talked with the contractor, the state contractor, and they would be willing in the contract. I think it said, 20, I think you had 4 months, I believe it was, to go ahead and act on it, but they said that they would still honor that cost right there. Looking on where these funds could come out of, these funds, I believe, are eligible to come out of the Rec Film and Convention funds, supporting the information center. And so we could pull the funds from Rec Film and Convention to go ahead and do those bathrooms. The idea, I do think that it's something that that would be a wise move in the future. To make that, to move the Moab Office of Tourism up on top of the Moab Information Center. But I just don't know if right now is exactly the time that we need to do it. I think right now, I think there's a desperate need for restrooms right there. And I do like the idea that we do still have some rec film and convention money left over from previous years. And so I think this would be a good use as the main user of those restrooms are tourists. We could have the tourist actually fund a service that they're using.
I have a question for Stephen. I know I lean towards just fixing the bathrooms at this point. I like the idea of the remodels of putting it on the CIB list. I don't know why we couldn't do that and then do the planning even after the bathrooms are completed. But that's not my question. My question is, it's not on the agenda to approve the money to fix bathrooms. It's on the agenda to put it on the CIB list. So moving forward, Stephen, can we am I right? We can't really make a motion to spend that money on the bathrooms tonight.
No, I mean,
But okay, but we can maybe do a straw poll to say that is our intent so that we can start looking forward it, but we'd have to approve it in the next meeting. Am I correct?
correct.
Okay, thank you. Can we put this on the CIB list for, I'm sorry. To let Mike go before.
You're okay.
Go ahead.
Go.
Can we, I still like the idea. I think it's a great idea to move the Office of Tourism over there. And then that would free up that lot and we could, I think it's a great idea. But I don't know if that fixing the bathroom excludes the remodel or going out for the bid for the grant, for the planning grant. I think, couldn't we put that on the CIB list, but that wouldn't mean the cancellation of the bathrooms?
Well, I kind of feel like we would want to wait to do this CIB list or do that after we did the bathrooms. Because then the person's gonna come and we're gonna do a master plan or a, planning grant. And that way, so we'll just hold off and maybe think about this for our next CIB list.
John Campbell's client.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's a difference between the planning grant and the CIB list. The CIB list would be for the big project, and Commissioner Winfield, feel free to speak to this. You're more familiar with it than I am, but the planning grant is generally off cycle and can be awarded at any time as long as it's less than $50,000. And that would deliver just simply a plan for the bathrooms. It would deliver nothing else. And so that is one thing. And then actually getting a building, if that was the case, is that's the CIB list. So there's a difference between the planning grant and the actual CIB list. Just keep that in mind is all.
But I don't think we're planning a planning grant for just bathrooms.
No, I don't think we need a planning grant for bathrooms. But we could, if you guys want, attempt to put it on the planning grant and then have a 3 or 4 year timeline to actually remodel the building. And I don't know.
That's what I was thinking of, because the CIB list doesn't obligate us to do it right the next time the CIB comes up, right? It's when we want to pull all the information together and create the application.
Sure. I think the intent, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chairman Campos, but I think the intent was to put it on the CIB list for a planning grant when we were in agenda review. Is that correct?
Okay, so I've never.
Planning grant for the Moab Information Center, like a long-term plan.
Which is different than the actual CIB list.
So do we need to? I'm asking.
Hey, go ahead, Mike.
This is for Dave here. In where it was looking to be pulled from out of Rec Film and Convention, previously restricted funds. Do we have that balance that would encompass the $200,000 on a later discussion about the bathrooms, let alone the 40,000 now? Like, do we have that balance in there on that?
It was 200,000.
So the TRT recreation film and convention.
Yeah, like the previously regulated funds.
I did an analysis on February 25th, and 2.08 million is my current estimate as to the reserves that could be used for that purpose based on when they were collected and what's been spent.
Okay, thank you.
So we can either approve this, or we can deny it, or we can postpone it, and then we can go forward. In the next meeting, we can have the bathroom votes. Brian has his hand up.
I make a suggestion that, that we table the feasibility plan and
Postpone it, unless you want to do it today.
postpone it, that's fine. Can postpone it, and then we can move to just give a thumbs up to create an RFP, because this will have to go up for RFP, I believe, because it's over our $50,000.
State contract.
That's different, so the state contractor can just be awarded.
We have to have a vote, next meeting for that.
Yeah, but you guys would have to approve the expense.
So is that your motion? You just made that motion.
I was just making a recommendation.
Trish, go ahead.
I have a question for Stephen and Gabe, maybe collectively. Do you guys feel that it's an appropriate spend out of rec, film, and convention?
Does this expense serve to solicit, advertise, or market or enhance transient guest spending?
I'm more than happy to create a memo on it.
That'd be great. That'd be wonderful. Because I just want to make sure that we're nowhere near the line as we've discussed in the past. That'd be great.
Mary,
I make a motion that we postpone item 8, amending the CIB list to add a planning grant for the Moab Information Center.
second?
I didn't hear you, Mary. I totally was looking at you and my brain was like, can you repeat that?
You were somewhere else.
I was somewhere.
Taking a walk. My motion was to postpone.
So I did ask a question, but did anyone plan on answering it or?
Didn't hear you.
So is this expense, or were we thinking that it serves to solicit, advertise, or market or enhance transient guest spending?
Stephen was gonna write
He was gonna write the
That's
memo.
position.
So that was yes.
Yes.
Because we have an understanding that those funds have to be used in that way. Are we acting like we don't know that or?
I thought we could use it.
That way.
Well, because the state auditor, Tina Cannon, was quoted saying exactly that these funds have to be used to solicit, advertise, or market or enhance transient guest spending. So it seems like we've forgotten that directive that came directly from the state auditor.
And those are the film rec and.
Rec, film, and convention. Yes. The reason we gave back $600,000 last year. So I guess we don't care about now what the state auditor thinks about how to use those funds, or we forgot about it? That's interesting.
Would request the defensible position or not.
And I'm happy to draft up a memo on the position that's ready to come.
Right.
I would think that an information center would answer your questions right there of to solicit, market, or enhance transient.
Bathroom for an information center?
Well, it's for the information.
The information center, and I believe I'd have to go ahead and pull it back up again.
Okay, great. I look forward to that justification.
I have no problem sitting down with it. Do you have the code in front of you right
The emphasis and intent of the code is to bring people from outside the county into the county for tourism, recreation, film, and conventions. And so I think we came to a pretty clear understanding that we have to attach any of these expenses has to be attached to a marketing campaign to directly bring people from outside the county into the county to spend funds. It's pretty unequivocal. Like I don't know why we're acting like we have a new understanding now. Oh, okay. Well, I'm offended by this because it's been my job has been on the line due to this stuff.
John, then Bill.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing I'd like more than to spend those funds on this. I think it'd be great, but as it's been frequently pointed out, I was personally scolded by the state auditor along these exact same lines. And at the time it was discussed that we, in this body, I think that we don't want to walk up to that line. There's nothing I'd rather spend the money on. I think those bathrooms are in dire need, and we have $1 million of rec, film, and convention sitting there. So it's a tough one, and I'd appreciate the memo from our county attorney.
Yeah, that was.
And like, I guess I could call point of order, and then all of our conversation can end, because we're not doing the bathrooms on this vote. We're not doing the bathrooms today. So I think that this information can come forward on our next conversation about the bathrooms. Sorry, Sharon.
And thanks, Mel, for
Next.
approaching this, because I know it's been brought up multiple times and I appreciate you taking the bull by the horns on this
It
one.
is affecting our maintenance.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that are being affected by it and would like to get it resolved, but we need to make sure that we do it the correct way. So we are gonna take a vote on the postponed. Do we have a second on that?
I'll second that.
You don't necessarily have to propose.
1 second.
Then we have to postpone it. We can just be done with it.
Yeah.
Okay. And move along to number 9. And that is the proposed letter of support policy. Oh, this is where the discussion wrote down. I think that's all, we're all done with our action items. And we're going to do move on to discussion items, which is a proposed letter of support policy discussion. So Tom admin has been working on this proposed policy and it's attached here. So we can just have a discussion on it. If anybody has any comments or questions or. Go ahead, John.
Thanks, Melody. And thanks for putting this on. I definitely appreciate the spirit in which it's presented and I get it. At the same time, I think having been on this commission for 5.5 years and seen a few letters in front of us, I would guess we get between 5 and 10 requests for a letter of support a year. And my overall feeling about it is that it's not an arduous process and it's not a broken process. I will say that my thinking about this was influenced because literally as I was reading through this item, a letter came through from the museum director asking for a letter of support for a cooperative advertising grant. And that he asked me as the museum liaison to what my opinion was on that and if I could help him with that letter of support. Now, the crux of it is that the letter of support needs to be done by June 10th. It would require, obviously there wasn't enough time to get it on this commission meeting, so it would require a signature from the chair and a ratification later, which, and obviously having been chair for a while, that is absolutely the discretion of the chair, whether that's something that the chair considers to be a controversial subject or not. But I bring that up because I think that's more often the case than not, is that these letters of support, most of the bodies that ask for these maybe only meet once a month. I think a lot of these come out of our committee assignments, et cetera. They come out of things like Motorized Trail Committee or Trail Mix or the museum, and they're timely. And there's frequently not, it's like, hey, we need something in the next 5 or 6 days, if possible. So that I'm just wondering about a provision for that, or going forward where it might kill it if we have to go through the whole formal process as outlined here. And again, I'm just opening that up for discussion as something that occurred to me while I was reading that, because it was very odd, not odd, but as I was reading this agenda item, a letter of support.
Yeah, so it gives 15 days, which I think that would allow it to go on to the commission, because that is the issue, Jacques, 100%. I mean, all the ones I signed this year are not signed because I didn't know if they'd be controversial, and I had to send them back and say, I'm sorry, I'm not signing these, because they're coming at last minute. And I would think that if you're applying for a grant, in general, you would know 15 days prior to the grant application being due that you were going to need a letter of support. So I think it's just pushing that back on those entities that are wanting letter of support from the county to be a little bit more prepared, to know what they want and to come and ask for it. That gives the county more time to be prepared as well, to make sure, okay, is this conflicting with any grant that we're looking at as a county? It allows us to bring it forth to the whole commission and have a conversation about it if it is something. So it really protects the entity that's asking for it and the county. I think it's a win-win for both. I know it requires them to be a little bit more prepared, because I got that same request today and I saw it, and
I think
it's, the 10th it's due, so that's 8 days from now. And that's including weekend. So that doesn't really give us a lot of time. And the same as quite a few of them that we've had this year have all been like, I need this in 2 days. And that just isn't isn't enough time. I mean, even as a chair, I mean, I'm not always available in 2 days to read it, to check with all the other entities that may be going forward or check with our department. So I see value in this. I think 15 days is really reasonable. But I mean,
No,
this is discussion, so.
Those are awesome points, Melody, and I definitely agree, but I do, there are, like, would it be disqualifying if, say, something like this came up, like, I mean, grants, a lot of these entities, especially nonprofits and such, are pretty, they're extremely busy, and a grant might just come to light, maybe a week ahead of time, and they're struggling to procure this money. Would it, I'm just saying, would there be a provision whereby it could still happen if the 15 days wasn't wasn't possible for that entity?
I don't know. We're here to talk about it. Do you have a comment, Del?
Well, I see where Jacques is coming from. If we have those, but is there a mechanism already that we can just pass? I mean, I didn't read the museum one.
Sure.
I haven't yet, but certainly it's not that we do it on a regular basis, contact each other for, hey, are you supportive of this? Is it and for me, I'd have to say I didn't even read it yet. I should go look at it.
I understand that.
But I think we have that option already amongst ourselves. I don't know about this specific one, but we have on other ones, and then ask the chair to sign them and we ratify them later. But I think that we're not out of line asking other commissioners what their thoughts on a
100%.
specific one. So I see an avenue already exists to get around this when we do have it. I don't want to say an emergency, but we need this right now.
So we could add something in there to the prerogative of the chair. I mean, we could add that language, like, this is our expectation for the people that are asking for a letter of support from the county, but there could be a exception, which would be the prerogative of the chair. And then at that point, for example, we're just using Sorry Museum.
No, just as an example.
Example, because you just came in, but if it was close to that deadline and you called me because you're the liaison for that, or called the chair, it doesn't have to be me.
Sure.
And then we did that straw poll of like, oh yeah, we're gonna go ahead and do this. So maybe we could add that caveat in there, but we want to streamline these. We want to have a little bit more information there. That could be. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't fully engaged right there. I was looking at the previous thing, because I do have information to bring back, and I'll bring that up maybe after this agenda item right here, just to put the commission's knowledge. But yeah, I was the one who brought this forward. We're seeing a couple of different things. So first off, we're getting the Department of Outdoor Recreation has added the Office of Tourism as a signer for letters now. And the reason that they did that was for certain grants, but then they also say you can have basically the Land Management Agency, the Office of Tourism, or the Commission. So when folks see that they have to bring something forward, they're like, who is the easiest person for me to get this letter of support? And they're going to the Office of Tourism, and that's not fair on our staff, right? Our staff shouldn't be placed in that position to where they have to make a decision on if they support something or if they do not. So this was part of the reason that I brought this forward and asked Commission Administrator Tyner to help us out to get a policy in place. The second is it has become not the exception, but it has become the standard from my perception that letters of support have been brought to the commission, and they're people's emergencies, right? Oh, I just noticed I need to have this signed to get onto this grant right here. And this grant is so important. And I understand if it's the exception, but it's not become the exception. It happens almost happenstance every day. Now I think, when I was looking at that, I'd like to make, maybe a small change on that, is to make sure that it's for our staff. Of course, we want to make sure that we give them all the leniency as possible. But for people who are outside of Grand County, I do think that there should be a solid rule that they come to the county, and that gives us time to make sure that it fits in with our future plans of how we want to see the county. Right, because it's also unfair to us when someone brings us a letter and we don't have time to really see how that fits in the whole thing. We have all kinds of these structures. We have an outdoor rec subcommittee. that's set up, right? We have an Office of Tourism, we have all these boards and committees. And I think it's just fair that we honor that process as well by bringing these letters and saying, hey, does this fit in with this board's purpose? Does this fit in over here? So, and it stinks because, a lot of these things we're all like, yeah, I definitely support that, right? Like I totally support the museum going and getting this grant, right? But it would be nice if we were able to bring that to the MTAB board and say, hey, MTAB, like you guys are, the folks that we've chosen to help us with our marketing, right? Like, what is your opinion on that? So that's kind of where this came from. And once again, I want to make sure that we have room for the exception, right? But I don't want the exception to be the rule, which has been my experience here so far on the commission.
Trish, Brian, that helps a lot to understand kind of what your thought process is, or the background and having that thought process in order. I appreciate it. I'm supportive of that. I do think we need to have a little bit of flex in there. And I know, I agree.
Yeah.
You put a little bit of flex and then you're worried that everybody's going to take it and run with it. But I think putting in there, Mel, something like at the prerogative of the chair, something that just gives a little bit of leniency will help for those that are up against deadlines that, maybe they didn't realize they were pushed up against. Okay.
And I'm good with that too. I wonder also, as far as disseminating this information, like getting it out to folks. We get letters of support out of left field sometimes, in all kinds of organizations. So just making it easy for people to find where our policy on this is. Like maybe just sending a letter out to all the nonprofits in town, or I don't know.
Yeah, I think that we need to definitely send this, once we decide that this is what we're gonna do, we need to send it out to if we can look at who we sent letters of support to recently, or just all the nonprofits, so that they have this at the forefront of the, expectation when they start reading their grant. Go ahead.
Commissioners Martinez and Hadeen, you'll help me recall the institute that came down. What was the name of that agency? Nonprofit Alliance. Likely you could provide whatever letter to them. Write a letter to them and they'll send all the different nonprofits. I think they had like 75, I can't remember.
Yeah, that's
the 75% of the nonprofits in this community are already a part of that agency.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you.
And then just maybe in that letter that we kind of put out, just let folks know that most of the time when they're going to be applying for grants, that they're going to need letters of support. So to make sure that if they're thinking that, hey, we're going to need money for something, that they keep that in the forefront of, we probably should go ahead and get our letter of support into the county so that we can get that process started.
Yeah, and that local agency or that state agency could probably be very, very helpful on communicating some of these issues to the nonprofits.
Can I just give an anecdote, if you don't mind? So I was doing that UR grant, and I think there was 83 cells to fill out. And the letters of support are some of the last ones. And yes, it would have made sense for me to look through the whole thing and go, okay, start this before this, but I'm very one of these, like, start with number 1, right? And so by the time I get to 83 or whatever, let's say 80, and now, my time frame, because I think it was January to March is that time frame. And it is amazing how fast that time goes, right? Like when you're just kind of plugging away, doing your other, you're the same way, 3 jobs or whatever you're doing. So I have some empathy and understanding for where people are coming from, but but it's smart to look at it holistically and go, okay, I should start that before that.
So I assume we'd polish this up a little bit and then it would come back for the. Yeah, sure.
This is
review as well.
So if you guys have any comments that you want to email to Mark, because he's been working on this, maybe to Mark, and then we can get it polished up and bring it back before us for a vote to do that. Okay, so was there another comment over here?
I'll speak with Mark about it. It's nobody.
Okay, Brian.
Can I add just a quick discussion item or a clarification to a previous item that was on the agenda?
Sure.
Okay, so first off, I do not appreciate the clerk auditor attacking. And as noted, he's not here anymore. I did ask for an extra second to actually go through and review the documents. So I do have it right here. It took me a second to pull it up. So establishing and promoting number 2 rec film convention end right here. So number B right here is convention meeting rooms, exhibit halls, visitor information centers. It's specifically listed in the legislation. And then to go through just to make sure that I was not falsely stated, I also have the email here to County Attorney Stocks where I clarified that was his legal interpretation of it right here. So I just want to let folks know that I was not stepping out saying, getting close to the line. Trish, I'm glad to hear that you also respect that we
I do
need to,
respect
that we need to stay away from the line. But I did do the research on that when I made that statement. So I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you for the opportunity.
Brian, is that from this version of TRT or the previous one?
There is no rec film and convention in this TRT, so this is
That
the
was
previous
the
rec,
one that we-
and so I've taken it right here, and I got it all highlighted right here in this little document. Sent it over to County Attorney Stocks, and then his reply is that his reading was the same as mine right here in this email. And I can forward that to the commission as well.
Will you? Because I'm sure this conversation is going to come back up again.
Absolutely, and as we move into our budget amendments coming into mid-year, which we're scheduled to do, I'm sure that between this and also the OSTA, it was the fire hydrant system would also, I think, be included in this. So these will be conversations that I'll want to make sure that we bring up when we're doing our mid-year amendments right there. So.
Mike?
Those conversations will come up in this mid-year amendments. And just to clarify for the public what we're talking about, as previously said, to 2.1 million, give or take, dollars of previously regulated underneath.
Correct. So
It was previous TRT regulated funds that we have banked.
Yeah, so in Fund 47, there is a reserve account. And so we're talking about the composition of what's inside of that reserve account right there.
This is not current TRT funds.
Yes, and then under current TRT law, right, you're only allowed to have one reserve account. So the accounting on it is, I would say it's got to be a nightmare trying to keep up with all of the different changes that have been made and how that account has actually been applied. So, I do understand that that's a very difficult thing to come up with the composition of that account, but that's what we're talking about is there are some different funds that are identified in the Fund 47 reserve account that might have a couple of uses.
Okay. All right, we are going to move on to a workshop. And it's going to the policies and procedures of the governing body. And I think we went to, yeah.
Want to do 6 o'clock session?
Oh, yeah, 6 o'clock citizens to be heard. Sorry about that. And I might even take a 5-minute break. Because this could be a discussion. But let's start with the citizens to be heard. Do we have anyone? Everett, do you want to come up? No, okay. Anybody online?
Nope, no, that's all. Andrew.
Andrew? All right, so 6 o'clock citizens be heard. We don't have anybody. We are gonna take just a 5-minute break and then we're gonna come back to our workshop.
I could wait, maybe.
Okay, thanks.
Looking at my phone.
Back. Okay, we are reconvening after a 5-minute break for the workshop. It's number 10 on the agenda, the policies and procedures of the governing body. I think Quinn's gonna bring those up on the screen so that we can.
Oh, that'll make it so, that'll make that.
Yeah, we have them printed out too,
This is excellent.
but we also gonna have.
And this would be nice, because this is. I think sometimes.
Well, I just appreciate the red lines and the comments. That really helps a lot. Cause I was like, did I make my comments and then they just got erased? And I was like, but no, this is perfect. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a little tiny, but okay.
No, it's perfect.
So we're just gonna start on page 1 and go through some of these. Like we have a time. We're gonna talk about it for 30 minutes.
And we'll just
So
refer
six-
to it if we.
Yeah, 45-ish, we'll move into our closed session, so, okay. Okay. So our first one is some changes on the table of contents. I don't think there's any issues there. And moving on to page 6 is still just table of content. Page 7 is the start. And how do you guys, I mean, do you want me to read these? I mean, there's no comments on any of these, so if I feel like.
To read, I think it's.
We'll just go page by page and maybe if anybody wants.
Yeah, if there's anybody, yeah, but then when there's no comments on the side, we won't, I'll just, if you guys want to interrupt me. So if on page 7 of the policies and procedures is the introduction, there's just some changes, a lot of it just cleaned up.
Yeah.
Things. Page 8. Comments on this page, let's look down the top.
I don't know. I mean, I'm the one who made that comment. I guess, I don't know, like I did not use AI, but I did kind of just go out and looked up other websites and how they defined county administrator. And so
this is county administration, so that's the only thing I wanted to point out to you. So I'm in agreement with what you're a county administrator.
okay, oh, gotcha.
But the actual number 12 is the commission administrator.
Yeah, I didn't catch that.
So this is like the body of them is how I read it.
Okay.
I don't know, I mean.
No, that is how it reads.
Yeah, so it's actually about the entire, the basic.
That was my bad.
Commission, it's the 3 of them and how they work together.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a spot where we define we'll keep going. If we have a spot where we define the county administrator, maybe we can come back to that comment.
Oh, sorry, I didn't catch it. That's my bad.
Yeah, I was reading that today and I was like, I think that's, so department head, staff, these
I
are.
do a lot of reading and editing, just so you.
It's a lot of reading. I read the whole thing.
I know. Well, just didn't.
I haven't recently though, so. So now on page 9.
I made the comment on number 2, and I think the comment on 3 that with placing should with may takes care of that. I just don't think it should be. It's just like I said in there, math doesn't work out, and I think everyone may have the opportunity.
What it said before was the commission shall make its best effort to elect or appoint a different commission member as chair each year.
Yeah.
And I think that the admin put in there that each commissioner. Yeah, should or may, and maybe it needs to say each commissioner. May have the opportunity to serve as chair or vice chair within their term, because of course, I'm saying the math doesn't.
Sure. No, that's a great addition.
And so if he said.
And I'm the one who used
the comments if they agree or don't agree, or how do you want to, are you guys gonna write it down on your paper? Oh, you're just gonna write it down. So I think on number 1, on the commission members with the appointment of the chair and the vice chair. I mean, I do like the word should, because if we all made a concerted effort to make a new person be the chair or vice chair within the term of office versus may. I mean, not necessarily that they want to have it. I mean, some people maybe don't want to be the chair or the vice chair, but they should be able to have the opportunity. I don't know. I'm partial. Go ahead, Mary.
I'm just curious, so. So will it still be voted on? It would still be.
Oh, it's a,
Yeah, yes.
Okay, but
It's not
then it's
policies and
given the
procedures.
To anybody that, yeah, you can ask.
And I use the word may, but I'm obviously not shackled to it.
Yeah,
This is,
I definitely
this is
think we
a
need to
good,
add,
Stephen though, would really love
Yeah.
to.
I think we need to definitely add chair
Question.
or vice chair.
I like that.
Their term of
I like that.
Cause that way
Should or
maybe
may?
everyone could have a turn that wanted to have a turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, and really, I look at these, their recommendations. Yeah, ultimately, there's nothing that's.
And then we've never been, should implies obligation, may is permissive.
So May,
Let's put May.
Well, depends what you want.
well, I mean, there's not an obligation to serve as a chair, vice chair, right?
Well, my question is, are we taking away the power of the vote?
That's
No,
what it
definitely
feels
not.
like.
That's what we should not.
That's what it feels like a little bit.
Exactly. So
Anyway, but the word may would make it not feel so.
So so each commissioner may have the opportunity to serve as chair or vice chair within their term of office.
And Chairman Hamlis,
Yes.
Dana's gonna just rewatch the meeting and capture all the comments, so you guys feel free to.
Okay.
And then one more point, I don't think, since I've been on, we've never voted for a chair pro tem. Would this add in a vote, so that would be a third vote at the beginning?
In case they're both not here.
Right, yeah, that'd be the
Well,
same.
what we did last one time when there were both chairs were, we
We did, it was, yeah, and it was Kevin took over.
No, when you and I went to.
No, you and Gabe were actually in leadership and you went to a summit and then Kevin took over, but I think we voted on that at the meeting before.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah, Stephen has a comment. Let's him.
So
let's hear what
in,
he has to
in,
say.
in this context, you probably want the word should. Here's why. I mean, otherwise it's an obvious statement. Each and it's actually not necessarily true. But may, if you say each commissioner may have the opportunity to serve, well, that's always been the case. That's stating the obvious. So it doesn't increase or change anything. If you put should, then it puts an obligation or more of an elevated status that the body as a collective effort or tried to make that good faith effort that each individual should have that opportunity.
Depends what have the opportunity to be voted on, correct? That's the way.
That's where I think.
Well, they should, if you want to use should, have the opportunity to be voted on, otherwise you're taking away.
Voted into office.
Well, are we using item number one, the last line on item number one? So it reads, each commissioner should have the opportunity to serve as chair, should say chair or vice chair within their term of office. So if you have it should, then that creates kind of an obligation that each person should have that opportunity to be either chair or vice chair. Now, if you say should have the opportunity to be voted on as chair or vice chair, of course, anybody should have that right to be voted on as chair or vice chair. And in fact, that doesn't make sense. And may wouldn't make sense. If you're creating it with some sort of authority or desire that they actually serve is the correct word. That's the intent of that phrase currently is I'm a commissioner. I should have the opportunity to be a chair or vice chair. If it doesn't happen, I think there's nuances to that, but the idea is in your term, you should have the opportunity to be either chair or vice chair. So I think that does create some idea, like if you had, I'm sorry, I'm gonna start using examples. If you had, Commissioner Hadler, it would be going into next year, his third year in office. And if during this term, he then would kind of have a better argument to serving as chair or vice chair, because he would say, hey, look, I'm in my second year or third year of my term. I should have that ability. And same with Commissioner Hedin, the later years, if they haven't accomplished that, then they should have that opportunity, if that's what the commission wants to do. But that's how you guys would have to play with it going forward, is you'd have to look and say, that's what it is. And it does create, and I would say that does create an idea of fairness. If each individual commissioner does have that ability and should be involved. From what I've seen, chair and vice chair have a substantially different role than just the normal commissioners, not to say that there's not.
But there's no obligation.
It doesn't say must. Should is different than must. Strongly encourage, there's different flavors of words that create higher probability requirements.
Is there some need that we're even messing with this? Because regardless, we're gonna come down to a vote.
Right.
And a majority is gonna rule on this, so why are we bringing it forward?
Well, then should we just leave what the words were before? The commission shall make its best effort to elect or appoint a different commission member as chair each year.
Well, I mean, speaking, and this is the commission to decide. it does change how a person is elected and in the position that they're in, whether that is what the body wants to do or doesn't want to do. I mean, all of you have been in this role for a couple of years at least, or going on a second year. Do you feel like everyone should have that opportunity during their full term to be the chair or the vice chair? And if you say no, you know what? As the dice is cast, however we vote, the majority votes, that's a different conversation than saying, you know what? If I'm elected, I know 1 year I'll either get to be the chair or the vice chair. That's what should happen. And then if you guys don't honor that, or if the commission doesn't vote that way, you know, that's a conversation you'd have with the future commission. But I do think that that does change the level of service that a commission gives, or individual commissioner gives, and it brings more meaning to it. Now, if that's not what the body wants to do, you don't have to do it, but it does change the way in which you serve.
You want to do a straw poll on that word, the word?
Hold
Okay.
on, I'd like to make a suggestion real quick.
Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, thanks. So, you know, in the idea of fairness, I think that maybe compromise to that, and I don't know if we're gonna ever come to an agreement on the way that should be, would be that each commissioner should have the opportunity to attend agenda review. And I think that would be a great spot for that, so that each commissioner does have the chance to see how the soup's made.
And again, it's just a different level of participation.
Yeah, I think that's, sorry, go ahead, Mike. You had your hand up.
What if Chair McCandless doesn't make motions? She makes occasional seconds as chair?
Not even.
No, not even seconds. Why would I want to do that?
You don't have the opportunity, then you don't have to.
I mean, I understand the other work because I'm part of this, but I don't want to be locked out of making motions or such.
But I do think there's a different level of service. I mean, I served as the chair on the Change of Form of Government Committee, and it's different being the chair. You learn when you were chair and chair, you know, former Chair Hadler and Winfield can speak to how it is being chair. It's a different meeting when you're in this.
I fully agree with you on that.
And public.
And the workload is different.
Correct. So there's a lot of nuances, but there's no obligation if it said you have the right to serve as the chair or the vice chair. It's no obligation if you're the chair.
Agreed.
It's just that you get it would be just be a greater challenge for all of the commission to look at it and say, you know what, Mike, you haven't served yet. Would you like to? And you would
And I'd
say,
be like,
I don't really want to. And then they did their duty and then they go on to the next person. I mean, that's what it would do. If the commission wanted to stick with should, that would make everyone think about, okay, people are getting toward the end of their office at this term, they're 40 years, and they haven't had an opportunity. We should see if they would like that opportunity. And if they don't want it, then we go back to, and bottom line, it goes to a vote anyways. So I could think that Mike should do it. Bill could think that Mike should do it. Mike is willing to do it, but then you forego no, you know, I mean, that's just how.
The county attorney has stated that this is gonna put an obligation. And if you're gonna put an obligation that supersedes a vote, I'm not in favor of it.
It doesn't the word doesn't supersede it. If you should eat vegetables, you should do certain things. Now, I think it's a different conversation. So if, for example, next year, Mike says, hey, I'd be interested in doing this, and let me use the commissioners that are in their third years. So Commissioner Martinez, Hedin, Hadler, if Commissioner Martinez said, hey, look, I've never during my term served as the chair, I'd really like to do that. And Commissioner Hedin states the same. Then you guys should consider giving them that opportunity. Doesn't mean you have to. I mean, maybe that's what the language you change, you know. The commission will consider whether an individual has served in a leadership role during their term. And that way you can say, you know what, we considered it, you know, Commissioner Martinez wanted to serve as chair, but we don't mind that he does it in his term or not. There's hundreds of flavors of it.
Go ahead, Mary.
I don't see there's any need to add this. I mean, it all comes down to a vote. I mean, my experience over the years is it's almost harder oftentimes to get people be chair than to have the people want to be chair.
That's how Jacques was chair for a long time.
Yeah, Jacques, I was
chair for
years, nobody wanted to be. Other than me, and I said, okay, I'll do it. So I think it's unnecessary, and I think we're spending too much time on it. I'd leave it as it was. I would just not worry about it.
Well, and one devil's advocate, anybody that wasn't going to be voted, anybody that was, going back in time. This year, we had an individual in the majority say, hey, look, I really want to be vice chair. And when Commissioner Winfield was in the minority on both, people requested to have this same opportunity when they were in the minority. And so what it does is it the easiest thing to do? No. Is it creating more fairness across the board? Yes. And so whatever the commission wants to do at the end of the day, but this does elevate it to at least having that consideration. Because when the shoe's on the other foot, I think anybody would love to have even the ability to say, hey, look, we're in the minority. You guys should consider this. And whether they want to say on the record, hey, look, we've considered it. We know you're on your 3rd or 4th year of your term. We're not going to give it to you either. It's at least giving that recognition of having that requirement.
Well, I think that's a different goal. And I mean, what I'm hearing from you is you want equal opportunity for both points of view. Because I know one time, because oftentimes Curtis Wells and I didn't agree, but we served as chair and vice chair, and it worked great. So I would think if that's what your goal is, to say, do your best to have the chair and the vice chair have not, I don't know how you'd put it, not be from the same party, not be, if that's the goal, but this doesn't say the goal. This isn't getting at the goal. I just think, and I don't know any board or anything that does that. I think it's always, I'll go with the vote, but I just think it's unnecessary.
There are many commissions out there that do rotating chairs.
Well, we encourage it. It says right there, do our best to appoint a different commission member as chair every year.
Correct.
And so, I think it's already stated. I think, it's almost confusing here, and it could add ambiguity to the situation.
Okay, we're gonna skip this one for the moment. Because we're taking up a lot of time on it, so we're gonna have to come back to that discussion, or maybe we can figure out a different way to state. All right, so number 2 has the chair and the commission administration office must be notified. That is.
Page around it.
Still.
Sorry, we're on page 9.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, if you're not gonna make it to a meeting, be notified if that added in the chair and commission administration, that generally happens. And participation, no more comments. All right, flipping on to page 10.
I did the comment number 5, and it says, if you read that, I could be wrong on this, but it appears to me that does it require the chair's approval?
Tell me what number we're on. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, we're in number
9.
page 10, number 10.
Before we go past number 6, can I just note one quick thing on number 6? This was brought up in the past. Does the commission want a commission member elect to have an email?
Cool.
We brought that up once upon a time.
So
back up to number 6.
may I?
Yes.
So depending on the number of licenses we have with our Google account, our Google corporate, whatever you have, workspace, we try and keep that as low as possible because we're charged for every account. So from a budgetary standpoint, and a limit on the number of emails, the fewer we have at any given time, the better. I see your point, Short, too.
But at most,
But an elect isn't adding one.
Well, it is.
Adding one that'll be there at the first of the year anyway.
Well, the issue that we've ran into in the past is when individuals and when for my personal experience, well, for the attorney, it's weird, but for commissioners, when folks start, it's really hard because you have no county email, and I don't want to go down the road of, I don't want to encourage people to create on people's email addresses, their personal email addresses. But once you're elected, you really should step into having a county email address and having county information.
So the most we could have is 4. That's extremely unlikely. Generally, after an election, we usually get, on average, I'd say 2 new commissioners, right? So
Right, and I I'd exclude anybody that's gonna be the attorney, assessor, recorder, treasurer, any of those positions, because I think that creates confusion and issues. But for commissioners, I do think it's part of the, it's really hard to get them to sign up like immediately in January. If you can do it in December and start doing the onboarding.
Quinn, what does 2 extra accounts for 2 months cost?
2 is probably not gonna, because they come in packages. 2 is probably not gonna be a big deal.
I mean, obviously, the very most you could have is 4 on everything.
I can see value. I know that first month after
I
I
agree.
selected, I mean, there was a lot happening and I was getting my personal email and I was asking for it. And then even until I was sworn in on January 7th, but that meeting we had a whole bunch of public comment that had to get forwarded to my personal email. I didn't get to see it. So
No, that's a fair.
I think that's a good idea to, at least for.
So would we add this in the commission email communication policy that we would add in alert, or there's some like further down here, there's like what we do for brand new
Yeah,
elected.
there's an onboarding section.
An onboarding section.
And some, and I just saw email, I brought it up. In some other locations, they also put additional, and again, I'm not trying to create chaos. They also put some additional restrictions on individuals that are not either renewing office or that are not reelected at that point. So for example, I think Salt Lake County prohibits travel from people that are
like lame ducks.
Correct. Yeah. So there's some other onboarding things that other localities do, but I just saw email and I knew that was kind of a nightmare and I can't remember.
Yeah.
We brought it up, I think when Commissioner Martinez and yourself were coming on because you guys had that weird nuanced way where you guys didn't have access to county information and resources and emails.
Okay, you convinced me. Do we need to have that in the policies and procedures though, or can we
Yes.
just have that as a?
No, it needs to be in policies and procedures.
Yeah, I think maybe we need to put it, let's put it in the onboarding section, like that's toward the end. I made a note. We'll figure out where it goes. Actually, Dana will probably figure out where it goes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Back to 9.
Back to number 9.
So yeah, engaging in staff. How do you think this reads, Stephen? Because does it? So and then just the chair obviously with the chair's own approval can engage with staff. So the commission administrator anytime they want.
So I've looked at other ones in the past. Other places look at projects based on a sectioned off approach about how long the task is going to take. Be it a small task of like 5 or 10 minutes. I think you could do it the way that's suggested here, but the increase of the ask or the increase of the information, the more onerous on the department. And so I think Salt Lake County or a different county broke it down into like, if the request is less than 15 minutes, then you can ask, I think they can just generally ask, like any commissioner can ask of a project of like 15 minutes, just like any member of the public could do that. Like if you roll into the weeds department, or like, hey, can you please explain weeds, blah, blah, blah. The next level is between that 30 minutes, from less than an hour is how Salt Lake did it. Is you go to the department head before you ask the staff employee. And then the next level above an hour, you get comm admin approval. That's how they broke it down in Salt Lake County. On this, I think it does work. You guys should, you can work through the chair and then go through comm admin. Yeah, I think that also works. The question is to what degree or what is the item that restricts communication? So if somebody was like, hey, I need to know what our current ad campaign is. Are you guys going to go through the chair, then comm admin to get basic information about that?
Well, this says specific commission member initiatives.
Oh, okay.
So it's not like just a request, like if you just want to ask a request of someone.
Do you have a
It's if
definition?
you are working on a specific initiative, for example, if I was in the chair and I wanted to go and talk to
So
the weeds department on a specific thing, or well, let's use Cody because he's sitting right here and I wanted to go talk to Cody, but it was like outside of the purview of what the normal commission is doing. And, so that's what I think that this is. It's helping staff because if they are getting direction from the commission right here, but there's one commissioner that's not necessarily happy with what the full commission goes for, and then they're gonna go to Cody and be like, I don't really care what the commission voted, but I think that we need to work on this road by my house. That's a big issue, and I think that has been happening throughout the years at the county. I'm not gonna say it here, but I think it's important to make sure that our staff are not being pushed in having to make decisions that they're gonna go against the majority of the commission or the one commissioner that's sitting in their office. And so if the chairs are appraised of it, say, you know, hey, I really want to go talk to Cody about the flooding issues. Great, go ahead. Go work with Cody on the flooding issues and let admin know that you're doing that, you know. But if it was something different, then, and if you were in the minority and you didn't like what the commission was doing, then you may come and go against it. And that's where it's just keeping everything aligned and really to protect staff.
Yeah, that's where I see it. So with initiatives is what you're referring to is, you know, because you can engage with staff if you want to call them and say, when are you having that workshop on, you know?
Yeah, it's
What
not
you're saying
in
is
general, it's
that initiatives are when you are asking to do something that will create more work after the phone call. I mean, if you do a quick phone call for a quick question.
Okay.
I mean, would project be a better word than?
I think project might be a better word. Or commission members who wish to engage with staff. Commission members.
Maybe requests on specific commission member requests. I mean, really what you're doing here is you're trying to limit what a commission member goes to an individual employee and requests things of them. Plain devil's advocate, I would do everything I can if you didn't define the word initiative. I could say, well, that wasn't technically an initiative. I was just thinking of a potential project.
Well, maybe we say initiative / project. Would that be more clear?
Sure.
Or just say, or make it so that we don't, is that commission members cannot get direct staff in manners that causes more work, or they really shouldn't be directing staff.
No, they shouldn't be, but there are people that go
Through the administrator.
Yeah, that they, if you have to.
How about commission members who wish to, who wish to make requests of staff shall first receive commission chair approval.
Chair or
administrator. Request is like, hey, can you give me an update on flooding, or can you give me an update? I mean, I don't know that that's inappropriate. If
No,
you
we need to know that.
I think requests are different than initiatives. Go ahead, Greg.
I think the way that you have it right here, commission member, it specifically says a member, right, initiative. Right, and I think that clarifies, it's not something that you're working on that the whole body has come up with. It's not your, you know, the board that you're a liaison to. I mean, this is something that you're going, I think, outside of, you know, this is a specific members initiative. And that, at least that's how I read it. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, that's how I read it, and that's what I think the intent is. It's just so that everyone's working on the same page and that our staff is not being directed to different directions.
Because we are their boss, and if we tell them something, they have a real feeling that I have to do this.
And I would argue that this language too becomes important for any staff member that feels like, oh man, I had this one commissioner that wants me to work on this thing that's gonna take 9 hours. I'm gonna go to admin and just make sure that this is okay. It gives staff a way to like confirm that what they're working on is the will of the commission. And I think that's important too.
Okay, do you want to just use the word initiative or change it to project, or?
I don't have a strong preference on the word itself.
Even, I guess that's.
Project, I like project.
Project.
I've got a question. What is attachment? XX.
Okay, I'm good with it.
County Commission's role is predominantly legislative.
Well, we're on this number. Amendment and attachment.
Amendment XX or attachment XX.
I think that's the form of government we were going to attach. We're going to try to make this fairly complete by attaching all the documents that feed into it.
Could perhaps we put before commission members engage with staff on specific commission member initiatives?
And things or whatever, we did that resolution was where that was gonna.
Thumbs up. I understand the
It
word.
doesn't exist yet.
Okay.
They're all out of order. I mean, like, no one's messed with them until you guys are done.
So go ahead, Steve, what were you saying?
I would just change the paragraph slightly. So before commission members engage with staff on specific commission member initiatives, instead of who wish to engage with staff. It's a really weird phrase. So
I like that, Stephen.
before commission members engage with staff on specific commission member initiatives.
That's good. First, I think that does clear it up. Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna move on to number 10, which is the commission's policy. And I already talked about this before. I know there's a comment about it.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, and you guys can do whatever you want, but I would like to leave that comment there, and then if in the end when we're approving this, if we go through the last couple, if we have a couple points of contention and we just vote on them, I'm okay to lose the vote, but that is definitely something I have a strong opinion about. Or if you want to do a straw poll right now, whatever you want to do. Madam Chair, I personally think that these our communications that are going out should go through entire commission or disapprove.
Is this based off of our communications, as in Grand County's?
Yes.
Yeah, so
Organizations.
all official communications
Mike's
on behalf of the Grand County shall align with the adopted policies and current priorities of the commission majority. So be grounded in verifiable facts and serve to inform and educate residents while supporting healthy civic discourse. So communications do not require prior commission approval and are the responsibility of administrative staff prepared as needed in collaboration with the commission administrator to ensure consistency with the county's government's direction and policy commitments. And that's where she's asked for it to be approved by the whole commission. I don't see that almost the same idea of when we're talking about the not enough time. If we just have a commission meeting and we make a plan to go forward with something, the commission, and then our information officer puts out information about that. If it was gonna come back before the commission for approval, that's gonna be another 2 weeks later before that information goes out to the community. And that's just too far away. So I think when you have the majority makes a decision and something goes out to the community, that's what it is, and admin's fully involved in that, and that's what it
I
is.
thought we were already there.
Go ahead, Trish.
I guess I'm struggling with our current, well, and maybe we're gonna get to that now. So adopted policies and current priorities. We obviously don't have that currently. We don't have our current priorities. But I think we are gonna get to that. So I'm okay with this idea that maybe at the beginning of the year, which I think we'll get to that, we are going to workshop and outline our priorities.
I mean, we do have a general plan. We have the general 2030 plan, which technically should be our guiding principles, right? And so.
Right,
I mean, those
definitely don't have our current.
We don't have it, no.
No.
And I wish I was had been way ready to be the chair and I would have done a lot of things differently, but we're getting there. We're maybe halfway through and I'm gonna send out a priority list once we finish these policies and procedures and go that way. So hopefully that direction will follow that. And it would go for, I mean, it's gonna go one way or the other, whatever the majority of the commission. And that's the same thing as for the staff. It doesn't say, think, okay, well, I was working on this project 2 years ago for the commission, but now the commission's changed and I basically need to leave that project alone and be working on something else. And to me, it's just still about being kind to the staff to make sure that they know what their directives are and where they're coming from. But we can start out one and come back. Like I said, Stephen.
And potentially, and this is just another suggestion, I think as commissioners, all of you are deemed to be the most knowledgeable about county issues in the community. If anybody has questions about the county, I think if the county is going to give out a press release, I do think that it would be a good suggestion to be able to have that circulated or at least provided to the commission prior to release. The reason why is because not that they get object and say, hey, don't send this out, but at least publishing it. And the reason why is there have been, there have been times that it has been, I think electeds have found out about the county's official stance regarding an item online before they received it. Now, whether or not commissioners will have the ability to say they shouldn't print that or not, I do think it's reasonable to assume that commissioners are going to get information before the public. And I think as they're elected, they should have that heads up, or other electeds that are involved. So maybe have that.
Are you agree with that now? I mean, we kind of said that prior, but we obviously didn't put it into.
Yeah, I think that
we didn't put it in writing, so I like the idea.
Noticed before, so that everyone gets a copy of.
I like that.
Before it's published.
I like that. That'd be great.
That way you know you're not blindsided whenever.
Because that, I felt like I've been blindsided a few times and I think
That's information only.
Yeah, this is on, we're still talking about number
Just
10. the
notification.
communication Policy. So if we were going to post something, so anything that's gonna be posted on our
County website.
county website or shared on social media would just be shared with the commission members before, I mean, even if it's 5 minutes before it's
If you
posted.
don't check your email, it's your own problem.
Yeah, so you're up, you know where it's gonna be.
So you don't have people coming up to you and you're going, huh?
And one other thought, I mean, this is what the Supreme Court does. I mean, if you really want to have a solid statement, although there is no obligation, considering what the opposing side is going to say is somewhat helpful. So I put that nugget in, make sure majority statement's better when you know what the dissent is going to say. And that's helpful for the press release as well, because if you say X, Y, and Z, somebody that might not agree with the statement, knowing that they're not going to stop the statement and say, hey, look, I know you guys are going to publish this, but I really think maybe modify the language. That's it. They don't get to stop the statement. That's providing additional thoughts. I'm just telling you guys what happens in the court system.
Go ahead.
I've got a couple of thoughts. If we're gonna go that far, then maybe before somebody starts posting on social media, we should be approving their posts as a commissioner. I'm being sarcastic, please forgive me. But then my other thought is, I think we really need to put a time limit tonight and come back and finish this at a different time, because we're on very few pages here.
Yeah.
We're not gonna get through this.
Yeah, no, we're not. And actually we are at that time limit that I put on there. So
Thank you.
do you have any other comments before I let anybody else talk?
No idea.
I'll let you and Mike and then we're gonna wrap up.
I love this. I appreciate the return of the workshop. I'm not being sarcastic. I'm being very sincere, Madam Chair, that I appreciate this. I feel like it's just a better way to engage the entire commission. We can have dissent, we can have disagreement, but I felt like this was a great process and I really appreciate having Stephen and having your input. This is obviously your gig. And so this was a great process. I appreciate it.
And we're gonna have our next meeting, and now that we all like printed copies, I feel like it's so much easier.
I like it too.
I love that. Should we just try to keep it?
Yeah, keep it. Yeah, keep your thing, bring it back, make your notes.
Color copies, people, that's expensive.
Yeah, I think you can go ahead and maybe not open up the online, but if you make your comments on here, and that way you will follow up next meeting. And Mike, go ahead.
We'll continue the good work. We're all raw. It's going well. This was good. I'll move.
All right. And we're gonna wrap up our workshop for today and follow up next meeting. And we're going to move on to, we have some closed sessions. So I have
Just real quick, just before we move into closed session, just so the commission knows. Last week I was voted on as the representative for Southeastern Utah to the Colorado River Authority.
Congratulations. Nice. Mike.
Quick question. Are all listed in need or on the closed session?
Yeah, if there is a potential conflict for an individual, then they would be excused and we would document that within the closed session.
Okay. In that, I move to go into closed session to discuss purchase, exchange, lease, or sale of real property. Number 2, to discuss the character, professional competence, physical, mental health of an individual. Number 3, to discuss pending or reasonable imminent litigation.
Okay, Bill seconded that, so we are.
Actually, I was asking to make comment before we go
sorry.
in there, because we're making one motion to go into closed session on 3 different items. And I know that I asked at least 3 times to see some statute for going into closed session about another elected official, and I've yet to see a reason that we would go in and discuss. Now, if we're gonna vote to go into closed session on all three of these, I'd like a little bit of an explanation on why we're gonna be doing that and some statutes to back it up.
And the commissioner is requesting that this is done in a public setting.
I'm asking for statute, that's all. I just wanna know what right we have to go in and discuss another elected official.
The statute will identify the individual. So I can give that statute if that's what the chairs or if the commissioner is requesting.
If there's statute to support the request, even a simple phone call to me would have provided that answer. That's all I'm saying is we're going into a closed session here. I will support it. I'll second it and I'll support going in, but on public record here, we're going in to discuss an elected official and no backup or statute has been provided to do so. So second the motion, Chair.
Okay,
Mine wasn't to go into talking about an elected
I know that.
without naming.
I know that. And this is really why the reason is to go into closed session. So if there's a motion to go in for closed session, if there's a basis within there, that motion hasn't been seconded, sure.
no, he was getting a second.
Yeah,
That's
that's fine.
okay, all in favor? All right, 7-0. I'm gonna go into closed sessions.
Now you